And it's a pleasure to be with you this evening on a beautiful Thursday evening at coming up on 8 p.m. It's 7:45 right now. We're gonna get this stuff going at 8 p.m. Pacific time, but good day and good whatever time it might be wherever you're coming from. So I just wanted to say whatever day it is for you and whatever time it is for you, wherever you're coming from. Thank you for joining me tonight. And I'm really excited about tonight's stream session. But first, my name is Philip, and I'm a certified flight instructor down here in Los Angeles, and loving bringing my ever-growing experience and my ever-growing bank of knowledge to Twitch. And one of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite aspects about teaching people how to fly is walking the path with a student and really showing them um, techniques and ways to overcome the obstacles that we all have to overcome, utilizing certain types of skills and techniques to manage workload and to help them, like I say, walk the path and give them skills to do what they need to do. I have a unique perspective on workload management and the perspective of the student. I have a unique sense of empathy for the student. As an amputee, you can see here I'm an amputee pilot. I'm one of the only, actually to my knowledge, the only CFI in the country that is a full arm amputee. I have to do things a certain way to minimize the workload, maximize efficiency, and really uh, really be diligent about staying ahead of the airplane, thinking in terms of sequence and steps. And these are all things that we all have to do as pilots and really as people in going through life in general, which is why I kind of like to have a motivational spin on the lessons that aviation teaches me and the things that I like to teach others, like in aviation. These lessons that I'm learning about workload management, stress management, risk mitigation, taking things one step at a time, the power of planning and practice. That stuff can also be applied to life. So I'm very excited about. I love flight instruction. Love bringing that unique perspective on those things as an amputee, bringing that unique perspective to flight instruction. But even more excited to bring those experiences and those insights to Twitch to a wider audience, and through the power of ground school, providing a service on Twitch that's like a hybrid of ground school and flight sim guidance. I am really, excited about connecting with others and helping them through that. And I know I learn a lot too. Like I've definitely got a long way to go too. And I think that's one of the coolest things is it's definitely a win-win situation. So, really excited about tonight. Normally if you're new to the channel, give that follow button a press, and if you would support the channel with a subscribe, because what I like to do is on a routine basis on Tuesdays give IFR Tuesdays. Will be Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are typically the days that I stream in terms of aviation, because I also stream video game stuff and some things as well. I like to kind of stream some digital combat simulators, some DCS. That's a lot of fun. But in terms of the actual flight instruction or Microsoft Flight Sim guidance that I like to give, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Tuesdays are a lot of fun. Those are IFR Tuesdays, and that's going to be a ground topic and a simulator session. IFR in IMC, usually in X-plane, sometimes in Microsoft Flight Sim, in different types of aircraft, and utilizing instrument the techniques and the processes for executing flights under instrument flight rules. That's what IFR is. Ground topics include regulations, departure procedures, approach procedures, automation management. We just had a really great really great ground session last Tuesday, about a couple days ago, on single pilot resource management and crew resource management. we are in this month, IFR Tuesdays. I'm doing a 4-part series on IFR safety on safety in the IFR environment. And part one was in the first Tuesday of the month was about human factors and what contributes, what results in spatial disorientation when under instruments. Part two was on this last Tuesday, where we were talking about single pilot resource management and crew resource management, and what are some of the things that we can do to stay ahead of the process and stay safe. What are some best practices in a single pilot environment and in a crew environment, and what sort of things communication wise can break down to if they're allowed to break down, what sort of processes can result in a bad situation. Those two parts are building up to part 3 and 4 this month. Part 3 coming up next Tuesday will be looking at AOPA real pilot stories of pilots that have narrowly escaped a potentially really bad situation in the IFR environment specifically. We will hear from them. 6 videos that I have, bullet points and on each topic. And for subscribers to the channel, tuning in that night and joining the Discord, subscribers in the Discord have a very cool voice, capability that you can chime in on that day. And I want to hear from folks what their thoughts are as we watch these AOPA real pilot stories. I want to know what their thoughts are, and I want to know what sort of things stand out to them, similar experiences that people might have had, or things like that, and really open up that discussion. And then part 4 on what is that going to be, the 23rd, will be looking at a presentation of IFR accidents, fatal accidents that have come from part 121. Those are airliners. Part 135, which are more of charter type flying, still a commercial type operation, but it's more it's a charter. And part 91 IFR operations, which are the rest of us, our GA flying. I've got two fatal accidents from part 121, one from part 135, and then 3 from part 91, all involving some sort of loss of control. Some are automation mismanagement, some are clearly spatial disorientation. And it's going to be a presentation that includes bullet points on this is all coming from the NTSB. I'm not telling you, I'm not inventing anything or any judgments or anything like that. I'm what I've done is I've gone through the NTSB reports for these fatalities, and have read their what they have deemed to be the reason for the probable cause for these accidents, what their recommendations were to the FAA, and what lessons can we learn from them. So that will be on the last, or I should say on the 23rd. So that'll be a lot of fun. So that's IFR Tuesdays. Private Pilot Wednesdays and Thursdays are also as a part of my week. We've got Ground and Sim Private Pilot Wednesdays, ground school for on topics like airspace and regulations and weather services, aerodynamics, and then a sim session after that will agree with that ground session in some way. And then on Thursdays, we've got Flying Skills Thursdays, and that's what we're doing tonight. Flying Skills Thursdays, we're doing minimal ground, but we are going to typically do some, and just to get on the same page of what we're actually going to be, more of like a debrief, or I'm sorry, a pre-flight briefing on like what we're going to be doing. And then we're going to hop in the airplane, usually Microsoft Flight Sim for those flights, but sometimes X-Plane, sometimes Microsoft Flight Sim, and we're going to go do those maneuvers. So Flying Skills Thursdays is a really cool day to tune in, and is a maneuvers and really exclusively flying techniques based day. Tonight's Flying Skills Thursdays, we're going to be looking at we'll we're going to be looking at some maneuvers, a couple of somewhat advanced maneuvers, but I think there are a couple of my favorite maneuvers that are done in the flight training in the student pilot's repertoire, and we'll talk about the day, or we'll talk about the briefing here in a minute. We're gonna just sit tight here for a little bit wait for the top of the hour before we really dig in. We'll wait for people to join in a little more time for folks to come in and get ready here. I'm preparing myself a little bit more. Got my coffee. I got some tacos waiting for me in the fridge. Super stoked about that. Whoa, super bright. Let's see here. Just make some notes here. Was thinking no, I don't, that'll be too, save it. All right, cool. Coming up on the top of the hour here. It's 7:58. We got tangles in the back there. Looking good, looking good. These maneuvers, I'm just pulling up the airplane flying handbook here on these maneuvers. And let's see, we're going to be doing it about 90 knots, maybe 100 knots. Yeah, so like 900 feet. Put some wind in there. Yeah, buddy. All right, cool. All right, so we got our maneuvers ready to go. What's up, man? I'm Bandit. What's going on? I am a CFI in real life. Yes, sir. Very, very cool. I'm the only CFI in the country with one arm. I'm actually a CF double I. So what that means is, if you're not aware, so you as a double I, a CF double I, a CFII, that is a CFI with the instrument rating attached to the certificate. And so what I'm able to do is actually teach people how to fly on instruments which means that um, I'm certificated to teach people how to fly when you can't see outside at all. So that's oh, dude, you know what the hell a CFII is, man? You're a double I as well, dude. That's rad, man. We're dude, respect, mad respect, dude. Where are you a double I out of? Yeah, you're like, I know what a double I is. I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, mad respect. Mad respect. That was a tough one. Near TYS, Knoxville. Ooh, that's got to be some pretty busy airspace over there. Now, the cool thing about doing double I stuff over in your neck of the woods is, well, probably there's a lot of cool things, but one thing I can think of right away is your MEAs are probably really low pretty much everywhere, right? It's kind of helpful when you're picking a an alternate airport, and you gotta ideally pick a place with like a low MEA that's easy to get to. It's pretty awesome, man. It's pretty awesome. That's cool. Have you been doing flight instruction long? Do you have? Usually, it's not an issue on the west side, but it's more flatlands. That's cool, man. That's very cool. Yeah, I'm curious if you've been almost 2 years. Yeah, dude, that's cool, man. Same here. I'm a relatively green one as well. Although I don't. Even though I just finished my 2 years. I just did my first recurrent. I did my first 24-month recurrent. Which, dude, I really recommend. You're coming up on yours then, and I would really recommend the AOPA electronic, like flight instructor recurrent course, the EFERC. Dude, that is an amazing thing, and you can really take your time with it and like read things. There's like I think 14 or 17, I think, or something like that, like required modules that you need to take. Um, but and then at the end, you've got a required 4 elective classes that you can choose from. And you can choose from like I think 10 different ones or something, and you can whatever 4 electives that you want to do. And it's just awesome the way that they have it laid out. They take you like submit the you fill out the IACRA. Um, let's see here. I got my CFII in separate or September 2020 2020 I'm assuming. So I'm good till 2022. Trying to get 5 passes. Yeah, man, there you go. That's awesome. You got it. You got to stick with it, man. Stick with it. That's cool. Are you doing much instrument instruction right now, or is it all primary, or like what are you up to? I'm really really excited to have a CFI in here tonight. We're gonna give it a couple more minutes for people to trickle in. I think I might get rated by CDL, but uh, really excited to have a CFI in here, and I hope I get some more because tonight we'll be covering kind of some commercial level stuff. You saw in here like we're gonna be doing eights on pylons and lazy eights, and I'm not gonna get into like a ton of detail, but then we're just gonna go up there and like have some fun and use the visual references. In my neck of the woods, out over the ocean, there's some like really good visual reference points. Obviously for not eights on pylons in the ocean, but lazy eights. Yeah, those are the most fun. Those are my favorite, and frankly, the lazy eights, I'm for my most adept private pilot students, dude, I teach them lazy eights, man. You know, so the eights on pylons I think is really fun to do and teach, And I'm really excited to do it in Microsoft Flight Sim with the head tracker, where you can actually like look at your visual references. It's gonna be so dope. It's gonna be so cool, man. The spot where I do my eights on pylons down here is in it's in a harbor where there's like a break wall, like a breakwater, like or a break wall, like rocks that are straight, and with like a lighthouse at the end. You can do like your turns around a point around there. You could do your S turns over a road right there. But this stretch of rock is straight, and it's the perfect length. It's like 3/4 of a mile long, and then it starts to bend. And so your other pylon can be like where the bending starts, like the end of the straight portion. So at one end, you've got the pylon of the lighthouse, and then at the other end, it's like just the end of the straight part where it's very easy to see that part. And it's like, dude, it's a 1/4 mile long, you know? It's perfect, man. It's perfect. The one bummer is it's actually on the leeward side of like a big like rise in terrain. Not a mountain, but I mean it's a peninsula. And so wind does weird shit like coming down the backward, like the backside of that hill, of that peninsula. So when wind can actually be coming from two different directions. So we'll just keep it simple and have wind coming out of one direction for us, out of the south. But it's kind of an interesting thing. You really have to know like what you're looking for, because your pylon will be moving ahead or behind, like in weird spots where normally you're supposed to have a crosswind, but you actually have like a headwind or something. And so yeah, kind of interesting. But it doesn't matter, because you're supposed to be keeping an eye on your pylon anyways, and just doing what you see. If you know that if your ground speed is increasing, and that thing starts moving behind you, like you gotta pitch up, and it's kind of cool for that awareness versus going through the motions and not really having not really being in tune with what's going on. So we'll start here. I just don't want to get too deep, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to get rated, and I know that they finish at 8 Pacific my time. I believe they finished at the top of the hour. So if they're not done, if I don't hear from CD in a couple of minutes, we'll just kind of get going. Wait for a few people. We got some viewers in here. I think what we'll do is we'll take off at a Long Beach. We'll take off and like we'll go through the whole like startup procedure and the taxi, as well as the run up, where we'll actually brief the departure. We'll go through those different checklists, and then leave and actually climb up to altitude and stuff like that. Should be nice. Right now I do my instruction out of Fullerton, so that's it's a class Delta. It's a single strip class Delta airport down here in Los Angeles. And it's pretty nice. Although I did my instrument out of Long Beach, which is like, it's a class Delta, but with like, it should be really, it's like class Charlie level traffic density. Like in terms of commercial traffic density, like it's pretty wild there. And everything is underneath this Los Angeles Bravo. It's kind of nuts. If you've ever looked at a TAC chart here in LA, like, yo, it's really nuts, dude. It's really nuts. You must be under Bravo 2, right? I was just gonna ask you the same thing, actually. That's why I was asking about the Bravo. Oh, it's all G around you. Gotcha. I mean, that's pretty crazy though too. The airport near you is actually a Charlie, but you actually fly out of a Golf. Yeah, I mean, it's so you definitely don't have any shortage of cross country airports though, but I'm sure that the towered airports, the controlled airport, that's exactly what I was just gonna say. That's exactly what I was just gonna say. Like it's got to be tough from your point of view to like really, like have a healthy dose like of different types, or even towered airports in general. Like I think are probably hard to come by, but they're probably around, but they're probably very few of them, and they're either going to be, first of all, only a few of them, and probably, and I don't know the area, I could be totally wrong, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's probably a few towered class Delta airports, probably a few, Charlies as well. But the thing is the Deltas are probably hard to come by, so are the Charlies, and they're like going to be the same airports. So you don't have the benefit of like a ton of controlled airport, a ton of towered airports, of different towered airports to take them to, with different, some might have clearance delivery, some might just be doing their stuff through ground, some of them might be like under like major controlled airspace, or some of them might be like, all different things. So the variability probably is not there, and that's got to be really tough from your point of view too, because we were just talking about this. There was a little like kind of a debate, not really a debate, but there was some thoughts in CDL's stream just now. His wife, who he co-hosts with, like she's gonna do her demo, I think he said tomorrow, and he was asking me and another CFI that was in the chat, like, what do you guys think? Like, should she go a little bit farther away to a non-towered like airport, and then, or a little bit closer to a towered airport? One's got a 172, one's got a diamond. Like, what do you guys think? The other CFI commented on the airport and said, like, regardless of the airplane, like you really want to go to a non-towered airport because it's more chill there and you'll get more flight time. Like you won't have to wait for departure, which is an interesting argument. Certain things like, and like the idea of like gradual progression. I've been to plenty of towered airports that it's like way crazier actually, and it's like super more unsafe. But I think I see what she's saying, and there are aspects of that I do totally agree with. But I was of the opinion, like, man, like it's a blessing to really like operate out of a relatively busy, and I don't even know what they mean by busy, because I know Long Beach is crazy busy, and so a little busy, busy could to somebody else mean like, whoa, there are some airplanes here, whoa. So, I was like, you know what? I personally believe in that. I believe in hard conditioning, in healthy conditioning, but I believe in appropriate hard conditioning, that where the student is brought up to appreciate and cope with the stress associated with a busy environment, the communications with a busy environment, the airport operations with a busy environment. And you build that confidence up, and then you move into, like, frankly, in my opinion, the more challenging environment, which is the actual non-towered environment. Skipper, are you serious? Incoming raid from CD? I've been waiting, and I wasn't sure if he was going to do it. I was going to start soon. That's so crazy, dude. I'm so pumped. Let's do it. Hey, that was a really cool stream. Skipper was there. Bandit, were you actually in there? Were you actually in the in CDL's? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like this thing that we were. Oh, okay, yeah. That it was. You had valid points on both sides. So I think it's just a difference in philosophy. Raid. Hold on. Wait. I mean, don't wait. Come in. But hold on. I haven't figured out my sound alerts yet, but I do want to. I'm gonna work on it. Hold on. Shit. This is Oh my god, this is so anticlimactic. Hold on. Hold on. So anticlimactic. I want to play some party music for everybody in here. All right. CDL's raid. What is going on, everybody? It took me long enough to do that. I am definitely going to be figuring out my sound alerts and like how to and I want to figure out my sound alerts, and I want to figure out my commands, and like because I see folks like Starflies and doing really cool things with like commands and stuff. I know I've got the audio, but I'm still figuring out how to actually like get it going. So I just have to manually go in and like play some party music. So I hope you guys got that. Welcome everybody from CDL's channel, and I am Philip. I am Philip. My name is Philip, and it's a pleasure to meet you guys. And it was a pleasure to actually be in CDL's last stream. They're always doing amazing things like on there, him and Factual, and beautiful like community-based things, really awesome discussions, and I just love like reading everybody's involvement and everybody's like cool contributions to it, talking about the Reno Air Race add-on for the Microsoft Flight Sim, the Microsoft Flight Sim add-on coming. I'm super pumped about that. Different types of products, and one of the things that I was really excited to get to start my stream with, and to talk about, was something that came up. We were just talking about before you guys came over here. Was Factual having a demo flight tomorrow? Is it tomorrow? I'm so excited. And as a flight instructor, I'm a certified flight instructor down here in Los Angeles, and loving bringing aviation education to the Twitch streaming space through PowerPoints and ground school sessions and flight sim sessions. Like, I love flight instruction. I love the leadership aspect. I love the mentorship aspect, and nothing excites me more than a new student like endeavoring like on a student endeavoring on a new path. And so, oh yeah, you're gonna book it tomorrow, but soon, right? So cool for Factual with the sub. Thank you so much. You're awesome. I'm so psyched for you, and I think you're gonna really like it. Here's the thing that I wish I just and typing with one hand, dude. I mean, I'm pretty fast, but I just kind of was like letting the conversation go. Starfly's made a lot of really good, some really good points. I mean, she would have made a lot of good points if she just kept going. But the points that she was making were really good. I don't think you could go wrong. I don't think you could go wrong. What we were taught, for those of you that are new, that are not coming from the raid, who missed that conversation. So Factual is endeavoring on this new path, right? And she is going to go on what's called a demo flight. And the demo flight is a first flight for a prospective flight student. And that demo, am I coming in loud? I'm so excited. I feel like I'm like yelling. The demo flight is an initial exposure to flight training, and the really cool thing is to it's all awesome. It's all awesome because it's a student's first time flying. They're gonna walk around the airplane, touch the airplane, pre-flight it. It's gonna be awesome. You get in the airplane. The instructor is typically gonna take off. Like, the instructor's gonna handle the airplane actually off the ground, and you're probably gonna be following along. The student will be following along, but then very shortly, like, the instructor is going to give the student the controls and be like, listen. All I want you to do is maintain, like, hopefully in the briefing there will be some discussion about like looking outside and maintaining, what we're really looking at is, the horizon, and looking at the sight picture of the horizon relative to things on the airplane. And what I want you to do on this takeoff is just hold the horizon like right there. Do you see the horizon going through the nose? And the pilot, the student is actually flying the airplane, and the instructor is totally going to be like on the rudder pedals and stuff. But it's just also exciting. But the question came up about what's the best environment to be in. What's the best environment for that initial flight? And the question I believe was, do we go to an airport that is farther away but it's non-towered, or do we and class golf, I believe, or is it actually Echo at the surface, but it's a non-towered airport, or do we stay closer, but it's like a busier airport, do we do a 172 or do we do a diamond? And there was another CFI in there that weighed in, and I totally see where she was coming from, saying that her recommendation was a non-towered airport. Get as much flight time as you can, right? Because you're gonna be taking off really really easily. You're not waiting really for anything. It tends to be more chill, was the argument, and you can work up to the stress of the stress management and the workload management demands of the towered airport. And I was of the opinion, especially coming from Los Angeles, I love the fact that there's an abundance of towered airports here, and some of them are quite busy. That's true. Busy means different things to different people, and I think that there aren't too many super busy ones around here, but the environment is I believe it's better to start in a towered environment where the communication is there, the formalized communication is there, first of all, like the back and forth, the taxi. Sometimes you even have clearance delivery. You got the ground clearance. You've got the takeoff clearance, the airport operations, the listening skills. So yes, while I agree with you, Skipper, all that ATC at a busy towered airport would be intimidating on the first flight. There's going to be nothing about that first flight that is not intimidating, So if that's the case, if for the first few flights it's all going to be a lot, then what I prefer to do with my students is say, look, this is first of all, you would need to know more about that airport. Is it really busy? Or is it just towered and it's busier than, like a class golf airport? Because if it's not that busy, if it turns out that towered airport actually is the middle of the road, frankly, I would be making the same vote if it was actually quite busy, like Long Beach. Long Beach, I love training out of Long Beach. And yeah, it's going to be intimidating, but the CFI is going to walk you through airport operations. They're going to walk you through communications, they're going to walk you through role playing and communications role playing that should be tailored for that busy environment. It's the role playing of you saying certain things. You've got the 4 W's up on the board of who you're talking to, who you are, where you are, and what you want. And you're going through that format in various stages of a flight, starting at a towered airport, and you just keep role playing that. And then what you do is you go in the airplane and you have the student eventually do the ground call, right? You eventually just have the student do the ground call. They practice 200 or 500 times, and you're like, you got this. Would you please just do it already? You're running the Hobbs meter, and then they do the ground call. They get the thing back. They get the reply, and then that's it. They don't even do the read back, right? They're like, well, what do I say? And then the next flight happens, and you're like, okay, remember how that happened? Now this time I want you to actually read that back. You heard that they're going to tell you, yeah, you're clear to taxi to runway 226 left via taxiway Foxtrot. Looking at an airport diagram, this is what that means, by the way. It's a very simple, just go down the street on Foxtrot. And I want you just to read that back to them, and they're going to go, okay. And, and then not. I'm saying beyond the intro flight, because what we're talking about is where is Factual gonna do the training? The intro flight. I mean, the intro flight. Nothing happens communication wise for the student unless the student it wants to. We're talking about big picture. We're talking about obviously either way there's going to be an intro flight going on, and either way it's going to be a super dope experience. My thing is like what the question was, where's the more conducive environment, you know? So, say start flight training. Well, yeah, no, absolutely factual. Yeah, you start the flight training wherever the intro is, and the question is where should the intro be, because that's probably going to be the airport where you're doing your training. That's all I'm saying. So, that's just my vote. I think, and I see how you guys fly. You could totally handle it. You have the personality for it. CD's right there, like, you know, to tutor and like mentor. Like, you have the abilities, I think, on your own. You have the resources through Microsoft Flight Sim and Pilot Edge, as well as CD, to kind of build on top of what the instructor will guide you through. I think it's right there. And I'm a big, you know, and coming out of what I came out of, like with my spinal cord injury, like I'm big on, you know what, go after it. You know what I mean? You got one life, you know, go after it. And I don't think that means bite off more than you can chew. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is a methodical way to have healthy conditioning, healthy strength conditioning that gives you from the very, very onset a perspective that's your perspective. Your first, you know, the law of primacy talks about the way that you learn something first time is the most crucial. So if that's the case, where I'm coming from is if you can start your training with developing an okayness with a little bit of workload, a little bit of and discomfort, and getting out of your comfort zone day one, and understanding that that instructor is there to take care of that process for you, and you have everybody's on your team, everybody in this community is on your team. You have, you know, Pilot Edge there, like you have everything going for you. Like, get after it, dude. Go after it. You can absolutely do it. You know what I mean? And then you're from the very beginning, you're developing coping strategies and an awareness and a listening ear. So many pilots, like, they get overwhelmed, and listening is the first thing that goes out the door. So if you could be at that towered airport and operating, operating at that airport, you can from the very beginning develop that listening ear that will serve you very well when you go to other towered airports, or when you go to that non-towered environment and it's all about listening and communication back and forth. I was arguing that there are some non-towered airports out there that are way more batshit crazy than some of the busiest towered airports, because there's no regulation, everything is all self-regulated. So you got to know where to look, where the traffic is, what the legs of the traffic pattern are from the beginning. You got to be on that communication skills, like right there for some of these non-towered airports, and it's still unsafe. You know, it's not to scare you, and I'm sure the non-towered airport would be fine, but you know, I had a friend get landed on top of at a non-towered airport here in LA. You know, there's no radio required in class Echo or class Golf. And if you're not inside the 30 nautical mile veil, there's no ADS-B requirement. You know, there's just nothing required. And there's a guy that he entered the pattern correctly on the 45 downwind. And there was a guy coming in a Texan in the sunset on a long extended final, straight in final, and didn't enter the pattern correctly. And there was like a 40 knot overtake. You know, they were in a 152 going 50 on final, and the dude's doing 90 on final with the nose up like this. And they got landed on top of. And he's all burned up and shit. But the thing is you just have people that are, it's just, I don't believe that is absolutely, the non-towered environment is a conducive environment for, you know, intro, you know, in addition to all the reasons that I believe like that towered is good, there are some arguments out there for non-towered bad, potentially. So I just think like either way, it'll be fine. I just think that you're gonna get an equally valid difference of opinion depending on who you ask. Pros and cons on both sides, but my personal opinion, you got the skills to, and you have the resources and the help around you, the team, to help you handle that shit at a towered airport. And you know what? If it's a busy towered airport, like for real, fucking bring it on, dude. Bring it on. You know, you totally got this, man. You totally got this. Late night boba, awesome, dude. Yeah, absolutely. Factual, nice job, dude. Nice job. We'll talk soon, and well done. Anyways, you guys, I'm really pumped about tonight. We're doing Flying Skills Thursdays, and tonight is all about flying skills. And you know, I'm really pumped to get into Microsoft Flight Sim, and with the IR tracker. And we want video. We want video. We demand video. Factual. We would love video, dude. We would love video. So tonight we're looking at eights on pylons. We're looking at a couple different maneuvers that are often taught, that are taught to the commercial student, but sometimes taught in the private level as well, because I think that they, you know, I know I teach lazy eights in the private to students that are very, very good. Otherwise, I just wait. But I think these maneuvers, whether we're talking about advanced maneuvers or we're talking about basic maneuvers, you know, climbs, descents, you know, descending turns, slow flight, you know, and that slow flight's actually a fairly advanced maneuver. Whether it's a basic maneuver all the way up to these advanced maneuvers, what we're trying to do is mastery over the control of the airplane and knowing where to look and how to stay coordinated and how to manage the energy. And so tonight what I want to do is walk you through a little bit of ground and then some flying skills for a couple of my favorite maneuvers that are taught on the more advanced level. And it's going to be really nice. Then we're going to hop in the plane and take off out of Long Beach and fly to the practice area near me. And it's a practice area that I do flight instruction out of. And we're going to be doing lazy eights and eights on pylons. And we're going to be breaking these maneuvers down in a way that you can practice on your own and utilizing that beautiful scenery in Microsoft Flight Sim to get it done, because these are visual maneuvers. And I've got the Airplane Flying Handbook is what I'm referencing for these maneuvers. Let's break it out here. See you later, Whiskey. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. You're awesome. So so here we've got the Airplane Flying Handbook, and we've got a couple different documents open here. This is the same book that you can purchase, you know, wherever. I mean, there's a lot of different places you can get this book. It's an FAA publication on different things about the airplane. Actually, let's go back here. So the Airplane Flying Handbook, we've got a lot of different things about the airplane specifically, intro to flight training, how to handle the airplane on the ground, basic flight maneuvers, climbs and descents, all the way down to ground reference maneuvers, patterns, night flying, and all that kind of thing. This is in contrast to the Pilot Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, which is all about everything else, right? Airspace regulations, or airspace and airport operations, and aerodynamics, performance, weight and balance, all these different things that are what else makes up of flight training. So I'm in the Airplane Flying Handbook, and you can read this yourself. And what I'm doing is going down to the Lazy 8, which is a performance maneuver. We'll start with the Lazy 8, and then we'll move to the 8s on pylons. So in both of these cases, the Lazy 8 and the 8s on pylons, what we want to do first before we talk about what these maneuvers even are is set up properly. That's what we're trying to do. So it's very important that we know how to set this maneuver up. As in real life, you know, there's likely going to be traffic all around, and you know, you want to do your due diligence to have like a safety, you know, an emergency landing spot and stuff like that. So what are we doing to set this maneuver up? First of all, we want to make sure that we're at an appropriate altitude, okay, a safe altitude. For the Lazy 8s, we're going to go up to 3,000 feet, And for the we're going to be climbing up. We want to make sure that the airspace is clear above and below us and behind us in particular, since we're going to be doing these like kind of 180s, like a series of 180s. For the 8s on pylons, a suitable altitude, we're going to discuss the altitude actually for the 8s on pylons later, because what we'll see is the starting altitude depends on our speed. That's kind of interesting. So why would that depend on our speed? We're going to talk about that later. But the other thing that we want to make sure to look at in the setup is where are our visual references. The second thing is these visual references. We want to look around once we've cleared the airspace, and we've picked a suitable altitude. We want to pick our visual references. As I said, these are two visual maneuvers, and so for the lazy 8, as we do this kind of half pipe style, flowing, up and down, and as we do these 180s, we want to pick reference points. We want to start on a reference point in front of us, and we want a reference point at the 45 right here at this 45 point at A. Right here, we're going to be facing a certain direction, so we want to start out on a reference point, right? Through the first half of the maneuver, we're going to start we're going to end up at a 45 degree point. We're going to be changing heading 45 degrees. So ideally, we have a reference point of some kind, 45 degrees in that direction, and then a 90 degree reference point. We want to end up at that 90 degree reference point. Finally, we want a 135, which is essentially the 45 on the back end. We want a 135 degree reference point to pull us through that last 45 degrees. And like, why 45 degrees? Like, I'm lost. Like, what's going on? Just stick with me. All I'm saying right now is at straight ahead, at the 45, the 90, and the 135, we want reference points at each of these locations. That's all I'm saying. The visual reference points for the 8s on pylons, we're just going to want 2 points on the ground. This is a maneuver that's done lower to the ground. We said that the lazy 8's up at 3,000 feet. The 8s on pylons is done closer to the ground, and so we want 2 pylons, 2 landmarks that are, 3/4 of a mile, something like 3/4 of a mile apart from each other. Not too close, but not too far away. And ideally easily recognizable, right? Not like a, random like building like a business or something like that. And none of these visual references, you don't want a cloud. You don't want a mountain that is not easily recognizable. If it's like an easily recognizable mountain, then go for it. We're going to use one for the lazy 8. But you don't want a boat. You don't want anything like that. So you want something stationary and easy to reference. So after you pick your visual reference point, you need to pick a emergency landing spot. Now at the lazy 8, we're doing this up at altitude, so you don't really have you want to have an idea of where you're going to go if the engine does quit, but it's not like the 8s on pylons where you are legitimately at a very low altitude, and you do need to react immediately if there's an engine failure. Immediately you need to be able to go somewhere to put the airplane down. I'm going to show you 2 emergency landing spots in the area where we're going to do our 8s on pylons. Okay, it's really, really nice little like dirt lot. In fact, the 2 landing spots that I have, one of them is north-south facing, and one of them is east-west facing, so depending on where the wind's actually coming from. And the cool thing about the sim is we're in control of where the wind's coming from, okay? So we've got our visual references, we've got our safe altitude, we've got the airspace is clear, we've got our emergency landing spot. We make our radio call to do this maneuver, whatever maneuver we're doing, and I believe that's it. I might be forgetting one thing, and I'm sure someone's going to sound off and let me know as soon as I am. But now we're actually ready to get into the maneuvers. So let's talk about the lazy 8 first, and then we'll talk about the 8s on pylons, right? What's the point of each of these maneuvers? Division of attention. We're talking about dividing our attention between ever-changing pitch and... in the case of, let's just talk about the lazy 8 first. Division of attention with ever-changing pitch and bank. and energy states. In the lazy 8, the real challenging thing about the lazy 8 is the energy state of the airplane is constantly changing. Bank is constantly changing, pitch is constantly changing. And so you're dividing your attention between monitoring the energy and the attitude of the airplane, but also keeping track of those visual references that the attitude and the energy of the airplane is a certain way, like at a certain reference point along at the 45, the 90, and the 135. You're changing your energy state in certain characteristic ways as you carve out this, sloped, S kind of path, right? So division of attention is one of the main things, one of the points of this maneuver. Another point of this, of really any of these maneuvers, or any maneuver at all, is coordination. You want to remember that it's very important that we stay coordinated, and that we are good about the feet. Now, depending on the maneuver that you're doing, coordination means different things. I mean, at the end of the day, it all means the same thing. We're trying to keep the body of the aircraft aligned with the flight path. That's what it means to be coordinated. But in a situation like what you have here with the lazy 8, you have left turning tendencies. There are parts of this where you are, at a high angle of attack. The wings are banked, and the nose is, there are states, there are attitudes in this maneuver that result in very pronounced left turning tendencies. And so, especially in one direction more than the other, the right turn will result in more left turning tendencies, actually, because the airplane wants to roll to the left, and so it has a harder time moving over to the right. And so you want to have a cognizance of that, what coordination means. Like, as the airplane slows down and these left turning tendencies become more pronounced, you want to have an awareness of that and adjust your rudder pressures accordingly, right? And not just keep them still and be like, I'm putting my right rudder in there. It's like, yeah, you need more though. And then you're coming down and you're picking up speed, and now you have too much. And you're like, oh, I thought you said I need a lot. It's like, no. Like the left turning tendencies vary as speed and or attitude change. So division of attention, coordination, and I would say workload management, in terms of just making sure everything is, you set yourself up correctly. The other thing is, we're trying to scan for traffic and just maintain traffic awareness as well. You don't want to be so engrossed in the maneuver that you actually aren't looking for traffic. You may very well need to abandon the maneuver because of traffic and try again, So we know what the setup is. We know what the point is now of this maneuver. Let's talk about how to do it. All right. So we're going from A to B to C to D to E. All right. You guys got that? Let's do it. All right. No, we're going from A to B, C, D, and E. So starting at A, we're going to be in level flight. Yvonne Snow, what's up, dude? We're going to be starting in level flight. And, God, you guys, I have to admit something, dude. I have, like, tacos in my fridge right now. I got tacos on the mind, dude. Damn. So, and in A, I'm sorry, dude. I'm so fucking excited, dude. Okay. In A, what we're trying to do is establish a level, we're level pitch attitude on heading, pointed right at our initial visual reference point. We're going to start at 3,000 feet. We're going to start at like probably 90 knots and just hold that power setting, trimmed flight, and then we will depart level flight to start this maneuver. What we're going to do is very, very gradually pitch up and very gradually increase our bank attitude at the same time as applying some right rudder through the turn, right? We're going to be starting our turn to the right. So what we know, I've heard chocolate honeycomb ice cream on my mind for the... Damn, dude, now I got that. What are you doing to me, Skipper, dude? Now I'm thinking about tacos. Now I'm thinking about that on top of tacos, and actually it sounds disgusting, but... Oh, blame, I see. I like that. Start problems and then be like, can you believe Factual did that? Um, get this man his tacos. Okay, focusing. So we're gradually pitching up to a we're pitching up, and we are very very gradually more so the gradual input is really the bank. What you don't want to do is overbank and like slam this plane into a 45 or 30 degree bank. What you or a 30-degree bank, you want to really pitch up, and as you pitch up, start easing that bank over to that 45 degree. And which ideally what happens is at this 45 degree reference point in front of you, right? You started banking, right? So you're changing heading, and ideally by 45 degrees you are at max pitch up and at 15 degrees of bank. All right. And now this is a visual maneuver. So what we're not going to be doing is hyper focusing on the instruments. Yeah, you want to, you can cross check your instruments, but you know what 15 degrees looks like, and you know what max pitch up looks like, but it's not wrong to reference your instruments, but you do want to maintain a visualization of what's going on outside. You keep that so you have maximum pitch at 45, 15 degrees of bank. You're going to keep that bank going though through from B to C. As you go from the 45 to the 90, you're going to keep that bank very very gradually coming in, and you are actually maintaining a little bit of back pressure, maybe starting to release a little bit of back pressure, because what you're trying to do is end up at the 90 degree point in a level pitch attitude, but with 30 degrees of bank and at minimum speed. That's what we're trying to do. We're supposed to be, I want to say it's 5 to 10 above stall speed. Ideally at the top, at the 90 degree point, as you reach the 90 degree point at the exact time that you achieve 30 degrees of bank and the stall horn goes off, and then you start the back end from the 90 to the 135. You keep that bank in, as you go from the 90 to the 135, you start gradually reducing that bank angle. You're not going to need as much rudder through the turn, although, just stay coordinated, but you might, actually, no, as you pick up speed, you're probably going to need some rudder to keep you through the turn. And what you want to do, let me tell you what you don't want to do. From the 90 to the 135, you don't want that, because your 90 is going to be a really slow speed, right? So what you don't want to do is just let the nose go and dip down, because what's going to happen is you're going to pick up a lot of speed. You're going to get to your original altitude earlier than you want to get to it. So what you want to do is apply back pressure as you go through the 90 and the 135, back pressure, but less. So just really gradually relax that back pressure, let that nose come down, and then as you go through the turn, get a nice gradual downline where ideally you end up back at 3,000 feet and 90 knots at the 180 point. And then you're for an instant, your wings level, and then you start it again in the other direction. Okay? So we'll walk through this again. In the actual airplane, we'll come back to this image just to refresh your memory. We'll do this a few times, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I really like this maneuver. It's really challenging. I've never done it in the sim before. We'll see how it goes. Now the 8s on pylons. This one's a little more involved. Again, the point of the 8s on pylons, the 8s on pylons is just like the lazy 8s, division of attention between the an ever-changing attitude of the airplane. Also, attention between where you are with respect to this pylon that you want to be keeping off of your wingtip. your left or your right wingtip. You're going to be utilizing both. You're flying a figure 8 around these 2 points right here. So when, in this first lobe to the right, you've got the pylon off to your left. Coming back around, you're reversing course and your pylon's off to your right. So you want to divide your attention between maintaining the pylon off of your wing in a certain ways I'm going to explain, but also dividing your attention between that and your ever-changing ground speed based on where you've assessed where the wind is coming from. That's one of the setups for a unique setup for this maneuver is you really want to know where the wind is coming from. Wind awareness, like all ground reference maneuvers, wind awareness is like it is the point. You know what I mean? It is the point of those maneuvers. And like other ground reference maneuvers, things are going to be changing based on your ground speed. Now, in turns around a point, your bank angle changes. You're going around in a circle, right, around a point, and the objective is to stay at the same distance from that point throughout the circle. And the only way to do that with wind is that if you vary your bank angle based on your ground speed, right? We know we need a shallow bank angle for a slow ground speed and a medium, a slightly more increased bank angle for a crosswind, and then the steepest bank, usually like a 30-degree bank angle, but the steepest bank for your tailwind when the ground speed is the highest. So there's a positive relationship there between ground speed and bank angle. As that ground speed increases, that bank angle increases, right? That's the point of the turns around a point, where bank angle changes with ground speed. With the 8s on pylons, we are not changing bank angle. We are not changing bank angle. What we're trying to do, the objective is different. We do care about where the wind is coming from. Ground speed will be changing, but what we want to do is keep that pylon exactly on that wingtip at the same bank angle throughout this entire maneuver. Okay. Now the way that we do that with changing if we did not change our altitude, what would happen to that pylon off the wing as ground speed changes? Well, we've got the pylon on the wing, right? We've got the pylon on the wing, and as our ground speed increases, we see this pylon scooting behind the wing, right? What was right off of the wing is now appearing to scoot back. Taco, thank you for the sub, man. You guys are great. Thank you so much for the support. You guys are awesome. Beautiful, beautiful people. As that ground speed increases, if we don't do anything, that pylon, in this case, the lake is the pylon, I'm assuming. The lake moves behind. So what we got to do is climb. If we climb and we keep that ground speed in check, all of a sudden what we see is that pylon appears to move forward onto the wing, and in this case, this pilot's trying to keep the lake right on that line right there, on that line of rivets along that what we referred to as the longitude, the lateral axis of the airplane, which is essentially just the rivet line, right, of the forward spar usually. Conversely, probably, but the idea on the other side of the coin, what we see here is if we have a headwind and that ground speed is decreasing, that pylon appears to move forward of the wing, and we don't want that, right? The point is to keep the pylon on the wing. So what do? We change our altitude, and what this altitude that we need to climb or descend to, right? In the first case, we would need to climb to it, and in the second case, we would need to descend down to it. That altitude is what's referred to as pivotal altitude, and it's the altitude that where the airplane appears to pivot around the pylon, where it looks like there's like a string attached to the airplane, and and you're flying that like a little, like a toy on those strings, you know. So the name of the game in terms of wind awareness and ground speed awareness, for the 8s on pylons is knowing where the wind is coming from, how that wind is affecting your ground speed, and therefore where your pivotal altitude is. Okay, now I do not teach doing a bunch of calculations during this maneuver. You do calculations beforehand on where your pivotal altitude is going to start at, right, based on what speed you're going to do it at. But like we're going to probably do this at 100 knots probably, or 90 or 100 knots or something. But throughout the maneuver, all you're going to do is just know where the wind is coming from, assess what's going on with your pylon, and change altitude accordingly. And it really helps to talk yourself through these maneuvers. I'm going to totally do that this throughout the flight. We're going to talk through these maneuvers and keep ourselves like in check on what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, so we need to talk about pivotal altitude and what even is it, like what are we talking about? The setup for this maneuver is it's very important that we start downwind. That we've got, this is actually kind of a shallow angle. I'll probably come at it a little bit like this, kind of like on a 45. But it's crucial that we start downwind. Now, starting downwind, we know that our ground speed will be the highest entering the maneuver. And what we said was the faster that we go, right? The faster that we go, that the ground speed is, the higher the pivotal altitude. So part of the setup is a high ground speed on entry, and therefore the highest pivotal altitude. We know that on that first turn, as we make that turn to the left or the right, it doesn't really matter. We know that in either case, we're turning crosswind and headwind. We know that from that point forward, throughout the first turn, the ground speed is actually decreasing, so we know that the pivotal altitude should be decreasing. It should be a descending turn, no matter what side you start on, right? We're starting at the highest pivotal altitude, so you can only go down from there, right? Until you cross that back end and you start picking up some ground speed, right? Right here, you're gaining ground, your ground speed is increasing, so you should be climbing actually through this segment right here. On that back end, as you go through from that headwind to the crosswind, from that crosswind over to that midpoint, you're picking up speed right here. You see that wind is at your back. So if you're picking up ground speed, you should be climbing. So you're down and you're up, right? You're coming down through here, you're going down, stopping, you're going down, down. You're continuing at your lowest point. Your ground speed is the lowest here with the headwind. That is your lowest altitude. And here you are coming around to a crosswind. Your ground speed's increasing. So your altitude's increasing. Tailwind, climbing. There's your pivotal altitude. And then now descending again. Descending. Climbing, right? So always changing our pivotal altitude. We'll start at like 100 knots probably. We'll start off at like 900 feet. I usually do it at like 1,000, but just to kind of nice rounded number, but whatever. 900 feet it is, I guess. Let's see here. So pivotal altitude, right? This is kind of what we were talking about already, is like for a given speed, your pivotal altitude or I should say, for a given speed, there is an altitude. For a given ground speed, there's a given altitude where this line is perfect, right? And for this guy, for that bank angle, by the way, like I said, we're not like changing our bank angle so that it's like resting perfectly. So what ends up happening is over time, yeah, you do totally. If you're not changing bank angle, then aren't you being pushed in weird ways by the wind? Yeah, no, totally. Like you can't do this for like forever. Like you do kind of have to reset and stuff. So then what's the point if we're not staying a certain distance away from the pylon? Again, the point is is maintaining it's developing a different awareness. It's a different skill. That's just not the point. It doesn't need to always be the point, right? It's just a development of a different skill, and it's the multitasking of, based on where the wind's coming from, we're not changing our bank angle like with turns around a point, we're changing our altitude to maintain that for a given bank angle, to maintain where that pylon is. Let's see here. Visual reference lines. I think that's pretty good explanation, before we just want to get in the plane. Oh, this is very cool. So, for a given pivotal altitude, you could really do this maneuver at any bank angle. The point is not that it needs to be done at a specific bank angle. Whatever bank angle you want to do it at, you need to maintain that bank angle. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you could do it at 60 degrees, you could do it at 45, you could do it at 30. You just want to, and I wouldn't do it anywhere really past 30, because think about it, if you're pitching up part of the time, the wings are kind of loaded. They are loaded. So you don't want to, I don't know, if you're too fast, too steep of a bank angle, too hard on the controls, like, you don't want to, get in a like bad situation and stuff, especially that low to the ground. But the point of this diagram is to convey, the closer the 2 points, the steeper the bank. Yeah, that's also true. And like I'm Bandit is saying, is like, the closer the points are together, the more the higher the steeper the bank. And that's what you see here, is like, the closer they are together, the closer you are to them, and the closer you are to them, the steeper the bank needs to be. And so for a given pivotal altitude, a certain distance away will correspond to a certain bank angle. So all we're doing is we're just trying to set up to, bad decision. I totally agree. We're just trying to set up maybe like a quarter mile away from the pylon. We're not really trying to like overthink it, and really all we're trying to do is just, read the situation, be a quarter mile or so away, 30 degrees, maybe 45, depending. But I mean, this diagram just lets you know, like, pivotal altitude, it doesn't, you can do this at like different bank angles. It's not about bank angle, it's about pivotal altitude. And what the relationship that determines bank angle, the proper bank angle for this maneuver, is distance away from the pylon. That's all that picture says. Also, by the way, and common errors, of course, doy. Especially for the 8s on pylons. So I'm glad that I caught that. I did want to say that whether it's the lazy 8 or the 8s on pylons, we're just trying to be gentle. This is not crazy aggressive handling of the airplane. We're just trying to be gentle. We're trying to really be as graceful as possible and just take it really slowly. The airplane should be well trimmed, and really you should be able to do this with like the 3-finger technique, just really chill. By the way, these are at constant power settings. We're not changing power, it's not like we're in this is actually probably a common error. If we notice that the pylon is moving behind or ahead of the wing, it's not like you're going too fast or too slow and so you need to reduce or change power. That's not what's going on, and that's when the student is fundamentally like not in tune with the point of what's going on. It's for the same power setting. It's not about power, it's about ground speed. And so the thing is it's not like changing, we're not trying to maintain our ground speed. Ground speed will be changing. We need to allow it to change so that we can go through the exercise of having our pivotal altitude correspond, right? As that ground speed decreases, our pivotal altitude decreases as we come around to that headwind. As we come around to that tailwind and the ground speed is at its high, it's coming around to its highest, we should be climbing, right? So that's all that's a common error, would be like, manipulating power. If you see it like moving behind and you're like going too fast, right? Instead of climbing, you're going to like reduce power and be like, oh, I'm going too fast, power reduce. It's like, no, dude, you climb. Your pivotal altitude's higher now, right? So that's the first thing. Definitely failure to adequately clear the surrounding area for hazards, and especially this one, especially the. I mean, obviously it's important for all of them, but the eights on pylons. I mean, dude, especially where we're going to be doing it in this area, we're going to be doing it in the Long Beach Harbor, and there's a lot of helicopter training in that area. There's cranes in that area. There's other low level flying that's going on. So really, like, crazy condor in the house. What is going on? Good evening. Yeah, we got to adequately clear that area for safety hazards. Okay. Here's the I would say the number one, and maybe Bandit, you can like back me up on this, and feel free to disagree if you think there's another most common error. It's the skidding and the slipping in the eights on pylons. Why would skidding and slipping be the most, in my opinion, the most common error in eights on pylons? Because what's happening, right? As your ground speed changes, let's actually go to the visual on this. As your ground speed changes, and therefore your pivotal altitude changes, we get this change in sight picture, right? In this bottom left case, we have the ground speed is increasing, pivotal altitude is increasing, and the pilot needs to climb. Instead of developing that awareness and like multitasking and dividing their attention like that, what's going to happen is they're going to try and cheat. Whether they're probably great, they're probably a good person, and it's probably fun, they're probably a good person, cool to hang out with, but they're cheating, okay? And the way they're going to cheat is they're going to step, in this case, they're going to step on that left rudder and force that wing to drag back. And they're going to go, "Ooh, look, I'm doing it," Meanwhile, the ball's like entirely out of the cage. Yeah, I agree with you, and it actually, in general, students are not really as aware of their rudder a lot of the time. That's also super true. But absolutely in this case, they're a commercial student, so I mean, ideally there's some coordination, minimum awareness of coordination at that point. And instead of climbing to a higher pivotal altitude because they are aware of what's going on with their ground speed, they're gonna yank that wing back by stepping on the left rudder, right? And that actually is the worst case. That is the worst case, because now we are in a skid. We are in a left turn and stomping on the left. In this case, we're stomping on the left rudder, and what we are doing is we are causing the plane's rate of turn to be greater than the amount of bank that we have, so you're Tokyo drifting. That's exactly how I describe it. That's funny that you say that. You're Tokyo drifting. It's one thing to be slipping and be close to the ground, but the thing is if you're going to stall this airplane, like if you're also not cognizant of what's going on with your speed, like let's say that you were descending in as the entry and you forgot to level off by increasing power and you're slow, if you stall that airplane in a skid, I mean, it's possible for that wing to stall and drop, and you're spinning now into the ground. The skidding turn is the worst case scenario, right? The skidding turn in a stall. And what ends up happening is as you slam on that inside rudder and you cause the airplane to skid, the inside wing retreats and the outside wing advances. So there's an increase in relative airflow, in relative wind over that outside wing, causing more lift, and that wing lifts up. And that retreating wing, there's a decrease in relative wind, causing that lift to diminish and drop. And so, and there you go. The bottom wing drops. Okay. Now, so you definitely want to stay away from the rudder in that case. You also want to stay away from the rudder in the case of the pylon moving ahead as well. In this case, the student would be tempted to step on the right rudder. Right, the right rudder will pull that wing ahead, and so they can be like, "Look, I'm on the pylon," right? but you are slipping. That is a full slipping turn, right? That student's going to be in. So you want to stay away from that too, although less hazardous than a skid. All right. So definitely don't cheat and don't use the rudder. Skidding or slipping turns. Excessive gain or loss of altitude, for sure. Poor choice of pylons, definitely could be too close together. Not entering the pylons, not entering the pylon turns into the wind. Remember, we want to enter the maneuver downwind, and as we enter we want to enter the maneuver downwind. But what they're saying here is, let me back this off a little bit. What they're saying here is enter the pylon turns into the wind, and that is the case. You want to enter that turn into the wind. You enter, and then entering the this is the pylon turn, right? You're going into the wind. Cool, man. All right, you guys, let's go do it, dude. Assume heading. Let's see here. Will compensate sufficiently for drift, abrupt control. Yeah, be smooth. And select pivotal altitude. We're gonna be at 100 knots, so we'll try 900 feet. Cool, man. Let's do it. I would say community flight, but the last thing you want is like 30 people in the same area doing 8s on pylons together, formation. That does sound dope, by the way. Oh, the medical. Yeah, so they were very cool about it, man. The FAA was extremely cool about it. They were just like, hey, look, we don't care. As long as you can see colors and, you know, as long as you have good depth perception, as long as you can show us that you are safe, dude, rock it, you know? So what I had to do was go through one extra hoop, not that big of a deal, and get a statement of demonstrated ability. I'm serious. As long as you can see, you know, like, as long as you can see colors, that people have a hard time, dude. Like, if you can't see colors, man, yeah. So I was like, oh yeah, dude, for sure I can see colors, dude. Some of those eye tests with the colors, with the dots, like, I can see those numbers in the test, but I'm like, that test is fucked up. I was like, my eyes had to work, bro. My eyes had to work. Like, you could tell that those tests are, like, engineered. Those tests are designed to... That shit's real deal. I just passed a guy with color vision issues. Oh, dude, good for you, man. Good for him. They're probably good enough to... Taco, it's always number 5 out of 6 on the depth perception test that gets me. Oh, man. Depth perception, that's another tough one, man. That's another really tough one. Okay, guys. Let's get our IR tracker going. Whoop. Dude, I got to upgrade my IR tracker, man. I got to get the cool headset clip one. All right. We got... so I've been... So have you guys been playing that Master Chief, that Halo Master Chief collection? I've been playing that recently, and oh my goodness, it is... I haven't played any of the Halo except for Halo 3, like back in the day. So when I was first learning to play, doing this without a track IR is much more challenging. Yeah, today is definitely an IR tracker day, but it's also a Microsoft Flight Sim day because this is going to require this beautiful scenery that's out there. So as many of you know, like, I'm an amputee. You know, I've got one arm, my left arm is gone, and it was you can read about it in my About Me page. It was a spinal cord injury in a motorcycle accident that I was very, very fortunate to walk away from. I was hit by somebody who ran a red light into me, and I fell. I came off when I was hit, and I landed on my neck, and I pulled the spinal. It was a spinal cord injury. I pulled the nerves out of the spinal cord, paralyzed my whole left arm, my chest, and my hand, everything. And so, for a long time, I could not play video games. You know, video games were a really important outlet for me in my life. and things to do with friends, and you know, really fun things to do with friends. And it was really rough, like, not being a part of that. So then the day came when I was like, you know what, like, F that, dude, you know? And I started learning to play video games. I was reading an Xbox, or I was reading a gamer magazine, and what they had was that the Xbox 360 was just going to come out. And they had a full, a life-size picture of the 360 controller on there. I believe that's a beautiful looking controller. And I was like, man, that's a cool looking controller, dude. And I had the magazine laid out on my lap, and I just set my hand down on it, like, naturally. And I was like, dude, I think I can, like, put my fingers like this, like, on the sticks. And I think I was, like, trying to, like, map it out. You know, I was like, I think I can do that. But the only way to try it is if I actually got a controller and, like, really tried working it out. So I got a controller just to try, not a system. I just, like, I think I borrowed a friend's or something. And I was like, I think I can do this, dude. So I got a 360, and I started playing Lost Planet. I don't know if you guys remember Lost Planet, but that was it's like an alien game. It's like, you know, your alien invasion game, and, you know, humans versus aliens. It was actually pretty freaking sick, beautiful game. And I was learning to play with one hand, dude. It's a third-person perspective game, so it's not a terrible amount of camera work. You could still see around the character, but it was enough camera work where I could start dabbling, you know, because when you're playing with one hand, these fingers are on the same nerve. This middle finger is on its own nerve, I believe, and these two fingers, the ring finger and the pinky, are on the same nerve, I believe. I only know that because of my nerve damage. They keep talking about the ulna nerve, like, for these two, like, my phantom pains, like, these fingers feel fucked up on my left hand that I don't even have. So anyway, these are on the same nerve. And so when you're working sticks in opposite directions with fingers on the same nerve, like, it takes some practice, you know what I mean? And I figured it out, you know? So when I had enough control, I went to my first-person shooter. That was a third-person shooter. My first-person shooter, Xbox 360, was Halo 3. Halo 3, I was like, oh my god, that was my introduction to video. That was my reintroduction to video gaming, you know? And it was such a beautiful game. It was such a beautiful game. I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like, first of all, what even is going on right now? I have no idea where these aliens came from. They seem super pissed. I'm like, I'm huge. I'm like a monstrous, like, thing. But it was amazing. It was like a super, super amazing experience. And so Halo holds a special place in my heart for sure, as I was relearning to play video games. And so now being able to come back to the Halo series and play through, you know, 1 and 2, Halo Reach, ODST, 4, like, I'm so pumped, dude. And I've already played through Halo 1 and Halo Reach. Holy moly, dude. Holy maracas. Halo Reach. Oh my goodness, I'm Bandit with a sub. Thank you so much, man. Good to have you here, dude. Good to be talking with you. Halo Reach, dude. What the F? That is a beautiful game. So yeah, I'm curious if anybody in here is playing that, if you have a favorite Halo game in the series. That Halo Reach, very emotional, very, very emotional game. Love it. Oh, dude, I appreciate it so much, Bandit. You're awesome, man. You're awesome. Bro, Halo Reach, though. I was like, what? Dude. So, just, oh my god, like, the drama, dude. Honestly, the drama between the cinematics and the music. Oh, man. Holy moly, dude. Holy moly. My favorite was either 2 or 3, but Reach campaign was something else, bro. That's what I'm, dude. Because I'm not doing no multiplayer right now. I already know Halo multiplayer is the fucking shit. Halo multiplayer is awesome. Again, I only played the 3 though, so I mean, it's awesome. You know what I mean? But I'm like, what is that campaign all about? What the hell even is Halo? What's going on? You know, I want answers. You know. And dude, they're giving you some fucking answers, dude. Like, that is wild. That is a wild campaign. But see, I'm playing Halo 2 right now. So what I did is I started Halo 1, beat it. I was like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff. I have a lot of questions. Like, what the F? And then instead of going into Halo 2, I went back. I went to Reach. Because a buddy of mine that tunes into the stream too, he's like, oh, dude, you got to do Reach. Because Reach came before 1. I was like, what happened before when you started Halo 1? Like, when you start Combat Evolved, like, what came right before that? I had to go to Reach. Reach blew my mind. And so now, and I beat Reach, and now I'm playing 2. So I'm curious, why was Halo 2, or if Halo 2 was your favorite, like, why number 2? All right, guys. Still thinking about those fucking tacos, by the way. I think I may need a coffee refill, dude. I don't have a student until tomorrow at 3 p.m. By the way, I love teaching. That's not what I mean. But I'm just super pumped I get to stay with you guys because I'm going to do some DCS probably. Talking pretty fast. I think I probably have enough coffee already, dude. How about that CDL, dude? How about that CDL channel with Factual and everything? Doing awesome shit, dude.
Charlie, Mike ready for straight out departure at runway 30.
I freaking love... Hey, dude! What are we doing? I thought we said, location, man. Hold up. I thought we set the location. You know, one thing I was thinking of... Oh, taco, let's see here. Oh, dumb. There we go. On the original Xbox, it was just like the pinnacle of online gaming. Oh, of online. Okay, so multiplayer. Okay. Plus a lot of fond memories playing 2 and 3 split screen with my sister. That's what I'm saying, like the nostalgia, you know? We had a Halo 3 multiplayer like nights and stuff, dude. We also Call of Duty too. That was another one that we were all doing with it. And that's why I wanted to learn. You know, as an amputee, like, I was on the outside now. Like, I couldn't play. I could only join and be like, oh, you guys, shit, you know? And it was a bummer, man. It was a bummer. But, you know, now, but I worked at it. Every single day for 6 months, I worked, you know? And you know, now I play. It's awesome, man. So that fondness, you know, like that nostalgia is what I'm saying, dude. Now, my question is... Where does Halo 2 fall campaign-wise? Where does it fall campaign-wise? All right. Beacon, strobe, master. Okay, we got that fuel in there, and then pump off. Fuel selector is on. I think I just was starting it incorrectly. Let's try that. Yeah, alright. Sometimes you just gotta control E that thing, dude. Okay, guys. So, we've got temperature, pressure, vacuum, electrical. Good. We got taxi light on. We've got heading indicator set to compass. We're going to be departing runway 26. Let's get the avionics going. And it's all good. We got our, you know, radios and stuff there. It's not about that today. On altitude. CFII approved. Control E, baby. I love that if, you know, in real life, students like, I've never started an airplane before. How do I do it? Well, you do just, what do you like? What do you got, half a brain? You got to Control E that shit, dude. What are you talking about? What do you got, half a brain or something? I believe that is somewhere in the FOI. Okay, so this is where we get a clearance delivery. And actually, no, we're going to go do ground. We're going to say Long Beach ground, Cessna 65710, even though that's not our end number right there. At signature, request taxi 26 left run up with information Romeo. Taxi 26 run up via Foxtrot 65710. Okay, parking brake. Let's do it. I just hope that oh my, look at the star tour of the stars, dude, out in Hollywood. They're like, and this to your left is the Long Beach airport. This taxiway was actually redone in 2012. There's a lot of controversy surrounding the repavement of this taxiway. All right, and then, you know, the thing that sucks, dude, about Long Beach on Microsoft Flight Sim, they have not modeled it correctly, like, at all, like in at least for the little runways. 26 left has a displaced threshold that's like 8 miles long, and this, like, the landing portion of the runway is like this little midgety, like, section that's like 1,500 feet long, and that's just not the way that it is. Actually, there is no displaced threshold anymore in this airport or on this runway. Like they got the length correct, but dude, like, yeah, for some reason it's a humongous displaced threshold, and it's just not there anymore. And actually, it's the runway is true, like the space. But I think what ended up happening is like they did a reconstruction of this runway recently where they shortened it. They had a displaced threshold, and then they cut it short. They actually cut it to they cut it out, and so the landing portion of the runway, I want to say there's no displaced threshold. If there is, it's like little tiny. It's on the west side of 30 now. And so what Microsoft Flight Sim might have done is it might be confused with the length of the displaced threshold that used to be there and putting that on the current length of the runway. Like, dude, it's no good. Okay, so we do our run-up cigars, right? We go controls. We got left. First of all, forward, left. All right. Back, got the elevator. Box to the right, and rudder. All right, flight controls are free and correct. Instruments. We've got the airspeed indicator, attitude. Altimeter is set to within 75 feet of the field elevation of 60. It actually should be right there. VSI is right there, and heading indicator set to compass. Turn coordinator is showing correct. Temperature, pressure, vacuum, electrical is good. Radios are fine. Gas. Check our primer. We don't have one. Mixture full rich. Fuel selector is on. Attitude. We trim for takeoff. Trim is set. Run up. Let's go 1,700 RPM. All right, And we're gonna go test our mags. We got 1, 2. RPM drops. 1, 2. And 1. 100 RPM drop. 1. Temperature, pressure, vacuum, electrical is good. Let's go ahead and load the electrical. We're actually showing kind of positive on the ammeter there. Let's go and do the pitot heat and the flaps. Pretty stable, good. Pitot heat off. And looks good. And the idle check. Sweet. And it idles. Okay, back to 1,000. And our pilot briefing. So we're going to do the departure first and then the emergency. We're going to be departing runway 26 left. I want to say it's 3,400 feet of available runway. I have my airport diagram out in front of me, but we're going to be departing at taxiway Delta. Straight out and then a left crosswind to at the river to the Long Beach practice area. Climb to, we're going to be lifting off at 55. VY is 75. En route climb of 80. Climbing to 3,500 feet. And that's that. In an emergency, if we have not, if the engine fails before we leave the ground, we will power to idle, brake, and taxi off. If the engine fails after we leave the ground and there's enough available runway, we'll pull the power to idle, establish best glide, set the plane on the remaining runway, and bring the airplane to a rest, brake, and taxi off. If there's not enough available runway, we'll probably land to the left. We'll gentle bank to the left and land on Cherry or the 405 freeway if there's enough space, but we'll probably land on Cherry, this major street actually to our left here. And then if there's if the engine failure occurs at or above 800 feet, we'll turn it around and land on the opposite runway. All right, let's go ahead and head out. We're going to do a left crossing. We're going to climb to 3,000 feet, where we will start our lazy eights. Okay, out over the ocean. We're going to take some time to get out there. So. Long Beach ground, Cessna 65710, run a complete taxi 26 left. Continue taxi 26 left via Delta 65710. All right. And we're just going to angle a little bit here so we can see final. CD was totally correct. You got that high wing situation. It kind of makes it tough. I was surprised that he stayed, that the main, criticism of the high wing was in the air while on final and turning base to final. Where it really is, the biggest one is holding short. If you have to point the airplane into this like 45-degree position where you can have a clear view of final and make sure that everything's cool. That's the main one for me. But I actually enjoy high wings and low wings pretty much the same. I don't think that there's any real serious difference, but whatever, personal preference, I guess. Long Beach Tower, Cessna 65710 is holding short 26 left at Delta, even though it says hotel. It's not hotel. 26 left at Delta, straight out to the river. And straight out departure approved, left at the river. Clear for takeoff, 26 left. 65710, and final's clear. Let's go. Lights, camera, action. We've got lights, camera, and action. Let's go. All right, and then we've got 2.6 on the heading indicator and on the compass, toes down. 2,000 RPM. Systems are green, and let's go. Systems are green on the roll. Airspeed's alive. Look at those wingtip sight pictures. Looks good. We got that VY climb pitch attitude right there. Just gonna hold that climb pitch attitude. Just kind of want to look down and make sure that we're not getting blown too far off to the side. I was on a departure on this very same straight out departure, and somebody from this neighborhood right in here shined a green laser into the cockpit, which surprised the shit out of me. And I had to I was instructing at the time and had to shield the student's face for them. And I pretty damn near took it to the eye myself, but it, you know, people are pretty unbelievably freaking stupid. I believe it's actually illegal to do that. Fucking idiots. Also, like, how dumb are you, dude? Like, that's not how, like, how detached from your reality, like, are you, you know, to think that that would be okay? Like, how detached from reality that that's a real person in that airplane? It's not like a video game. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure it's, like, super duper illegal, right? I heard of a story once of somebody doing that to some cops. They didn't know that they were cops, and so what happened was these it was like a cop, like a helicopter or something, and they climb check. So temperature, pressure, vacuum, electrical, lights, power prop or power mix, flaps up, speed's good, and we take our written checklist out. Verify compliance, and climb check complete, cruise to go. And they didn't know that they were shining a laser at a cop helicopter with, like, night vision. They could see where literally like where the beam is actually coming from. They pointed it, like, the beam, you know, the source of the beam, like, you could trace to the source. Those freaking idiots. And they were arrested, you know? Pretty wild. Just fucking dumb, dude. Bring back that power off. Get up to 3,000. Maxwell in the house. What's going on? What is going on? This is should be familiar to wow, Skipper, I am not surprised at all, but Jesus, it's one of those things where I makes sense, and I'm disgusted that that makes sense. All right. Temperature, pressure, vacuum. Temperature, pressure, vacuum, lights, taxi off. And mixture leaned for altitude. This is tripping hard. My yoke is actually having a really hard time in life, and so I'm gonna really do my best tonight with these maneuvers. And they might not come out super perfect. They never really do, and it's not really about that. It's really just understanding like what's going on. Even on a check ride, they're not looking for perfection anyways. So, but definitely time to get a new yoke. I think this CH Products is. I mean, it's good, but man, I mean, I think it's time for an upgrade and not something cheap. I think it's just my comfort zone, you know. Climb check complete. Cruise to go. We'll back this off to, and we'll keep the speed up. We'll adjust our speed when we set up for our lazy 8s. And the lazy 8s that we're going to be doing is, I already have my reference point selected actually out here. It doesn't look like there's much reference point in terms of reference points, but there actually is. That mountain back there, right there, that's really a really easily recognizable reference point. Catalina is a great 90, and then so this spot in between is a nice 45. Oh my fucking god, dude. So we got the 90, the straight ahead. We've got the 45. I'm gonna turn the airplane around. I'm gonna orient it, and then we'll sort of go back to the airplane flying the airplane flying handbook, and explain like what we're actually looking at before we get into this lazy 8 here. And you guys feel free, by the way, if you want to pull up the airplane flying handbook and follow along. The lazy 8 is in the performance maneuvers section. I'm going to slow us down to 90 knots. Looking out for traffic here. 3,000 feet. I'm just gonna kind of point us a little more. That's actually all right. Things are good though, Max. Hey man, thanks for asking, dude. Thanks for reaching out, by the way. Max is gonna be hopefully soon driving out from where he's at to me for some flight instruction, dude. Let's do it. I'm pumped. Yeah, we're gonna do his demo flight soon, and he's gonna get to fly even on his demo flight. It's gonna be sick. Cryptic, what's up? All right, so I'm just going to get on heading here, facing the mountain. All right, so we can see here, we are on heading. Let's go ahead and set our heading bug as well. All right, we're on heading, and there's our straight ahead visual reference point. There's this area over here is our 45. The area between Catalina at our 90. And straight ahead, so between our 90 and our straight ahead is 45. So right in here is 45, and then the thing is right out here, see Catalina is there's our 135 back there. So actually, let's get out of the airplane. So there's our 90. There's our 90 right there. Or excuse me, there's our straight ahead. There's our 90, and then our 135 is back here. And then ideally, when we end up when we get to where we're going, the Catalina, which is on our right wingtip, when we're on the back side of that first lobe, Catalina ideally is on our left wing. All right, let's go really quick to the flying handbook just to kind of put it into perspective here. right? We're coming up to, nope, not this one yet. Right, here we are. So we're straight ahead. We're going to be climbing. So we're straight ahead right here. We got the mountain off to the left. We've got Catalina off to our right. We're going to pull up to that maximum pitch at the 45 when we are halfway between the mountain and Catalina. That 45 degree point. We should be 15 degrees of bank. And maximum pitch. We should also be about halfway through the airspeed indicator as our speed is decaying, right? So because we want to end up 5 or 10 knots above stall speed at the 90, so we should be about halfway between where we're at now and that speed at that 45 degree point. As we come around to Catalina in view, we want, as our heading is rolling around to that 90 degree position, we want the bank to touch 30 degrees and then immediately, start backing that off. We should be, as we roll through the 90, our banked angle should be kissing 30 degrees. And at that 90 degree, we should be so slow. What you want to do is have the 45 be the maximum pitch, because you're starting to slow your airspeed, right? Your airspeed is starting to decay. So as your airspeed decays, if you hold your pitch attitude up, you're going to stall the airplane. So in order to unload the airplane and keep that airspeed decreasing and not run the risk of stalling it, or having the airplane go all out of control or anything, you need to let that pitch attitude come down as you continue to reduce the speed. Because by unloading, you are keeping that stall speed down. If you are pulling back and loading those wings, the stall speed increases. So, if you keep holding that back pressure in, you're going to stall the airplane for sure, because now, your stall speed is higher. So as long as you just keep unloading, it doesn't matter that you're at slow speed at 30 degrees of bank. You're only there for an instant anyways. Just keep that nose coming down from the 45 to the 90. Keep that nose coming down, and you should be at a level pitch attitude by the time we're looking out the front at Catalina now. As you go from the 90 to the 135, we're going to be trying to point the airplane away from Catalina and trying to manage our downline to start to be back at 90 knots and 3,000 feet, and then we're going to go the other way. All right, let's do it. So let's do this here. I'm gonna try this. I never really did it in the sim. So here we go. All right, well, again, I'm not touching the power, okay? And let's do it. So we're gonna be pitching up. Oh, wait. Hold on. We need to set our, for some reason, our instrumentation is like whack right now. Dingo! Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. You are awesome. I appreciate the support. There we go. All right. We got Catalina right out there. Cryptic with the follow. Thank you so much. All right, here we go. Let's be a little bit better about starting at 3,000. Okie dokie. Hold up. Yeah, I have actually winds calm right now. This isn't a ground reference maneuver with like wind and all that stuff. You probably will have wind, but it's all good, man. So here we go. We're gonna go pitch up. Got a little bit of that right rudder going on. There's the 45. A little bit early on my bank. Oh yeah, we are way too early. And you should be 135 is 15. We ended up cleaning it up real nice. You see that? We're back on heading 3,000 feet and 90 knots. We actually cleaned up that back end really nicely. So let's go the other way. Let's try that a little bit better. That speed really decayed faster than I was anticipating. So there's 15 degrees. There's 30 degrees at the 90. Watching our downline. We're 15 degrees of bank at the 135. I'm watching my pitch. Here comes 3,000 feet and slowly 90 knots. Ooh, a little late there on the speed and the altitude, right? Let's try that again. But we're back on heading. All right, clear right. All right, very, very gradually. Here comes, there's 15 degrees at the 45. There's 90 and 30. Letting that downline happen. We've got 15 degrees at the 135. Ooh, pretty off of our speed though. Yeah, let's like reset. Let's reset. You guys can follow along as well on the heading indicator where I have the original heading bugged. Although this is a visual maneuver, we're using the visual references outside. Advisory Circular AC 72A talks about unauthorized illumination. Oh, good, gotcha. Only lasers you should see as a pilot if you fly unauthorized near the White House. Ooh, oh shit, really? I think as an astronomer pointing out things, we should easily be able to identify which moving object is an aircraft. Oh, dude, you're an astronomer, huh? That's fantastic, dude. I need to get me a new telescope. It's been a while since I'm overdue. I had a really nice 5-inch reflector from Orion. It wasn't motorized, but I really liked it, and been thinking about getting another one for my girlfriend's kids, and we can all like look at the stuff. All right, here we go. Let's try it again. Just really gradual on my pitch. Really slowly. There's 45, 15 degrees at the 45. I want 30 at the 90. There's 30 at the 90. Start backing off. There's 15 at the 135. Keep the downline. Watching my speed. I'm not doing terribly, you guys. There's 90. A little late on the altitude there. Let's try and reset. Looks like the power setting likes to be at 2100 right now for the density, altitude, and the weight. Maybe 2000 actually. Or no, now we're at 21. I'm gonna trim a little bit better too. That first one I think was the best one though, from what I was seeing. Okay. Ooh, little slow. The main thing, by the way, we're gonna do our 8s on pylons over there. It's gonna be really nice. And this is the practice area actually, you guys. This is where I do my flight instruction all the time. This is really nice area. Let's get that 90 going. Catalina off to the left or to the right. All right, here we go. Ready? And we are clear right, clear behind. And I'm just going to watch my pitch attitude this time and not pitch up as much, because the speed really decays. It's kind of hard to tell. You know, in the actual airplane, when you could feel the energy, it's a lot easier. All right, there's the 45. I'm like easing that back pressure off. There's the 90 and kissing 30 at the 90, letting that downline go. Here's 135, 15 degrees of bank at the 135. This looks a lot better, you guys. There's 3,090. Little early on the heading. Let's just roll into it. Clear right. Here comes that. Just watching that pitch attitude. All right. Ooh. Little crazy on the pitch. There's 45. We want to be 30 at the 90. There's 90 kissing 30. Let's back the bank off. We should be 15. We're a little late on our downline. 15 degrees at the 135. We're early on the airspeed and on time altitude and heading. Let's try it again. On the FAA's website, you will even fill out an online form to report a laser. Yeah, I forgot about that, actually. That's true. I was on, with ATC at the time, and so I was just giving them the report right there. But yeah, you're right. Ooh. 30 at the 90. We're really late. We're really late. 15 at the 135. We had way too much speed. Look at what's happening. We had way too much speed at the 90 and now we're 100 feet over. Joey hosting the stream. Dude, thank you so much, Joey. Dude, you're awesome, man. I really appreciate the support and really pumped to do that co-host with you, man. Seemed like a really nice guy. Be cool to like meet up somewhere and grab a beer sometime or something if you're ever in town or if I'm ever down there. All right. So does anybody have any questions about what we're trying to do, like what the objective is of these lazy eights, or like what comes when, or any questions at all? Got 15 degrees of bank, really gradual here. 45. Keep that coming in. You want to kiss 30 at the 90. Boom. Here's the 135. There's 15 degrees of bank at the 135. Just looking out for traffic. Here comes 90. Here comes 3,000. About 5 knots over. The fact that this is done in the sim like this well, I think it really speaks to the awesome job those guys did in the modeling and the sim. I mean, there's definitely the flight dynamics wise definitely has its nuances, I'll say. But this is really impressive that we can do the lazy eights, which is a very dynamic maneuver, as we've seen. The fact that it can be done reasonably well in the sim is just phenomenal. It's really nice. I'm watching my pitch attitude here. There's that 15 degrees at the 45. Keep it coming. There's kissing. Oh, this is a perfect one. Kissing 30 at the 90, 5 to 10 above. There's 135 at 15 degrees of bank. Oh my, you guys. Oh yeah, check that out, dude. Bam. Little bit over, a little bit early and a little bit late on a little bit early on the heading, a little bit late on the altitude there. I'm going to try and, on this one, I'm trying to be better about my coordination. There's 15 at the 45. Keep that pitch. We're looking at 30 at the 90 at 5 to 10 above stall. 135's at fit. Oh no, we're a little late on the bank angle at 135. We were a little steep there. And we're going to be early on the speed as well as the altitude. I wonder what happened there. Yeah, we're 10. Certainly all of those would have passed, but I think that oh dude, we got to do one with a 90-degree bank angle. Okay, ready? Here we go. I'm actually going to start at 3. All right, ready? Yo! Yo! Whoa! I was a little bit off on my altitude, but that was wild. Yo, that was some shit, dude. Let's try that again. Wow, freaked out a little bit there. What's your opinion on the Microsoft Flight Sim models for stalls? Whenever I try to do, the model, I think it's going to get better over time. I don't want to compare it to X-Plane, but I think that yeah. Whenever I try to do a power on stall, Microsoft Flight Sim 172 drops the wing like crazy. Let's try it. Let's set up for it. So we're just gonna back it off. 10 out of 10, Max. Thank you so much. You know what? Actually, before we do power on stalls, we'll do another time. But I think X-Plane got the modeling just right, personally. Let's do another 90-degree bank angle one. All right, ready? Let's make sure that we got our energy. There's 90. Okay, here we go. And clear left. There's 45. Get back down there on the down line. Oh, that one was all jacked up, dude. That one was all jacked up. Let's try. That first one was like ridiculously clean. Took a Sobo some time to get it to drop a wing on stall. Yeah. I actually have not messed too much with stalls in Microsoft Flight Sim. Let's actually go back and set ourselves up for the Entering the Pylons. I mean, it's good that it does, but it's not supposed to when you counter it. Yeah. Well, and I just don't know enough about programming and like the software side. Like, I'm sure that for what they're able to do, they did a great job. There's always something that can be better. Let's go out of the southwest. Let's do it at 180 and at 6 or 7. Okay, cool. So we're going to be doing this at yeah, there's our ground speed right there. We're going to be watching this, by the way. The ground speed will be very indicative. Why is this thing tripping? Did we put gusting in here? Oh. No. No gusting, dude. Yeah, 0. Winds on the ground. We don't want variable. We want it 7. Sometime tonight, maybe Phil can demo a full power on stall. You know what? Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that real quick, and then we'll come down here for our Entering the Pylons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to 2,000 feet. And the power on stall, for those of you that are not... God, this water looks amazing. Shit. That'd be cool if they modeled, like, whales swimming in the water. Like, in real life, out here, sometimes you get lucky and you see whales. Um, we will, the thing with the power on stall is we want to simulate a stall that can occur on takeoff. So and with any stalls, power on or power off, oh, it's amazing. Oh, cryptic. Like when I was going through my private, I took my mom on a lesson. She was a ride along and it was her birthday. And we saw some whales from this very location. We looked down and we were like, dude, you could see the plume. So yeah, with all stalls, oh yeah, seeing whales, sometimes, it's not all the time, but you do get lucky. And you just got to be on the lookout for the plumes, and you could see where there are whales, and it's like, oh my god. And you just got to they will dive, like they'll get scared if you are too loud and you are too low. So just leave them, let them be, and you could just see them from a reasonable altitude. I'll go down to like 15 though. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up our visual flown with a couple bald eagles. What? What, in a glider or what? So this is gonna be the first time I'm doing this in this power on stall in Microsoft Flight Sim. So let's just see how it goes. My visual reference will be the mountain out there. We'll do it at 2,000 feet, and I'm going to set up for the landing configuration right now. Flown them with a couple of A10s up my rear on takeoff. Oh man, really? So what I'm going to use for my takeoff speed is 60. And I'm going to use 75% power. Now, the other thing that you want to make sure to do when you're out here doing your power on stalls is that you're in the clean configuration, just like you would on takeoff. And you want to remember to use that right rudder when you put that power in there. The left turning tendencies should start yanking us over, and that ball should go out to the right if the dynamics are correct. I just have a power setting in here to gradually inch my way down to 60. We're gonna put that power 75% power, and then just start pitching up. And the way to do it, you don't want to rock it up, right? You're gonna increase power 75%, and that's totally good enough. And then you just want to pitch up in a way that is very controlled. There's that right rudder. And you just want to pitch up in a way where the speed decay is very, very gradual. Very gradual. Notice that the ball is in the center. We're on heading. Increasing that back pressure. Increasing the right rudder. Feels pretty real to me. Full stall. Let's keep the ball in the center. Whoa. Yeah, that doesn't happen in real life when it's coordinated like that. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. That should not happen like that. Yeah, no, that should not happen like that. Definitely not. Definitely not. So that was a wild drop for sure. Okay, guys. So time for this lazy eight or eights on pylons. Okay, now. We said that we're gonna pick a suitable spot for our pylons. Okay, so I'm gonna pick this long straight right here. In real life, this is a really great spot to do eights on pylons because, first of all, it's extremely noticeable. It's only you in the water. This straight line is no, absolutely not you. That's some whack modeling right there for sure. So this is about a quarter of a mile, and I think it's like three-quarter mile. One pylon is there, the lighthouse, and then the other pylon's gonna be at the far end over there. Okay. Now we're gonna be down there at 900 to 1,000 feet, 700 to 1,000 feet, 1,100 feet. We need somewhere to land in an emergency. I'm going to select this spot right here. It's very close by, certainly within gliding distance. And the cool thing is, even though there's a fence there, even though this area looks relatively small, there's actually a little fence right here You could bring it in through here and crash through that fence, and then just you really have all of that area. You have all of that. You have this area in the brown that's absolutely accessible to you. Sometimes you get lucky and these cargo or these containers aren't there. And so this is a nice north-south. This is an east and west emergency spot. This is a nice north and south spot. All right. I suppose if you really had to, you could try and put it down on like that right there. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with this as my landing spot. Now we have wind. We're showing 75, 80 indicated. We've got wind coming out of the south, it would seem. It would seem that way because I told it to. And remember how we want to enter. We want to enter the pattern, or we want to enter this maneuver on the downwind. On the downwind. How is that tailwind going to affect our ground speed? Ground speed will be at its highest with a tailwind. So based on what I was saying earlier, if our entry point is going to be at the highest ground speed, what can we say is our pivotal altitude? Are we going to start at our lowest pivotal altitude or our highest pivotal altitude? Does high ground speed correspond to a low pivotal altitude or a high pivotal altitude? No, this is the 8s on pylons. This is the 8s on pylons. This is this maneuver right here. Right here, where we're going to be entering the maneuver and keeping the pylon off of our wingtip, off of the this lateral axis right here. We're trying to keep it right off of the wingtip like that. So we're coming around to a tailwind. We're going to have the high ground speed will be a high pivotal altitude. We're going to have a pivotal altitude of 900 feet. We're entering downwind, and we're also entering at an angle. So there's coming up on 900 feet. I want to increase my my power here. I want 100 knots ground speed, ideally. And the reason why is because if I do have an engine failure, I want, you know, more speed means more energy, you know, to glide with. All right. There's 100 knots ground speed, 900 feet pivotal altitude. We're coming up on our first pylon right there. Remember, this is going to be our highest ground speed. Any turn left or right will be resulting in ground speed decaying. You're going to see that. Watch that ground speed on the GPS there. Okay, there we go. We're going to start our... As we start our... there's our ground speed already decaying. I'm going to put that wing right on the pylon right there. Actually really fast. There we go. All right, so we're going to keep the pylon right there and see the it's starting to move ahead of the wing. So I'm going to descend. Here we are descending, right? Look at that. Keeping that pylon right there on the wing. Ooh, a little too fast actually. We descended way too rapidly. So I'm going to climb to adjust. There we go. Still figuring out the dynamics here in this sim is kind of challenging. There's that, oh, we're a little low actually. I'm just trying to put that, there we go. Now it's back on. I'm I'm just gonna try and get this back. And actually, we should have wind blowing us into a tailwind now. So here we go. So that pylon's moving behind the wing now. So I'm gonna climb. But I'm not gonna climb super rapidly like I did last time. It's really hard to do this without feel. You know, you could really feel the vibration in the normal situation. Coming back to our pivotal altitude, by the way. We're back on. There's 900. Okay. And we're fast. So I want to actually get this. I'm way off on this one here. My pivotal altitude. Okay. Okay, we're on pivotal altitude. We're coming around to a headwind. See how that wants to move forward. I'm not going to let it. So I'm going to dive. There's my pivotal altitude right there. Ooh. Get it back. Get it back. Get back here. There it goes. There it goes. It's creeping forward. Ooh, ooh. Don't let it get too out of hand. There it is. There it is. There it is. So here we are. We got a crosswind. So the speed's starting to pick up. Ground speed's increasing. Oh, actually it's... Yeah. So now the pivotal altitude's way up there. We're starting to come around to a tailwind here. There's that increase in ground speed. There goes that pylon. So I'm going to climb. We're up here at 1,000 feet. There we go. Actually, we should be at like 900. So here we are too slow. So I'm going to descend now to 900 where we started. Nice. There's our pivotal altitude, 900. Drop that wing. Coming around to crosswind here. So I'm just gradually going to descend. See how it wants to move forward. So I'm keeping the bank angle. Coming around to the headwind. There it is. See, I'm descending now. There's 800 feet. Actually, I'm coming around to a headwind. Oh, get it back. Get it back. But you know what? We're about to come around to this headwind here, so it's going to be pushing forward any second now. There it is. And there we go. There we go. There's the headwind. So, yeah, our pivotal altitude is back there. Coming around to a crosswind and now a tailwind. Ground speed is pushing that wing forward. There it is. There it is. There's a little bit of a lag. Right, I'm just gonna... I climbed a little bit too high. There you go. That pivotal altitude should be right there, and there's 900 feet. So at least that part is good. I mean, I'm assuming it's not going to be totally perfect. So we're coming around to a crosswind. Ooh, I accidentally descended way too quickly. Let's get that. We're getting better, though. We're definitely getting better. There it is. There it is. Gradual, look at the gradual descent. Gradual descent. We're coming around to a headwind. Pivotal altitude is... should be lowering any minute now. And the pylon should be creeping forward. It's starting to gradually... we're actually at our pivotal... there, it's starting to creep forward. Oh. And now as we come across our crosswind to a tailwind, see how it's creeping backwards? So we need to pitch up now. But not crazy. Yeah, see, now we're too slow, so it's going to be moving forward. We got to go back down and go get it. But it's okay. We have a tailwind, so it should be pushing us. There it is. There it is. Whoa. Whoa. There we go. All right. So coming around to a crosswind. Our ground speed is slowing down. Look at that. See how that it's starting to move forward? Pivotal altitude is decreasing. We need to go down. Here we are, below our pivotal altitude. We're decreasing. We're coming around to that headwind. It's still, there it is. Yeah, the wind and stuff is not totally the way it would be in real life, but you guys kind of getting it. Whoa, way off there. There's that headwind, by the way. Pivotal altitude super low. Coming around to a crosswind. So we need to go higher. Move that point up more. There it is. But not super crazy high. Yeah, we are way too low. Guarantee you we're lower than 900. There it is, 900 feet. Pivotal altitude, it's really nailing that every single time, so that's kind of nice. All right, cool. Let's see here. So, is this the same methodology for turned around a point? It is not, actually. It is not. And actually, let's wonder if there's a way. So it is not the same methodology or philosophy for turns around a point. We were talking about that in the beginning, actually. You might have missed it, but turns around a point, we are trying to, instead of, it's still wind awareness. It is still bank angle, or I'm sorry, it's still wind awareness, but and it's changing with ground speed. Things are changing with ground speed. But instead of, in 8s on pylons, in turns around a point, we change our bank angle with respect to our changing ground speed. As ground speed decreases, we have a shallow bank, right? As airspeed or as ground speed increases, we increase the bank angle, right? In 8s on pylons, there's change as ground speed changes, but it's not bank angle. It's pivotal altitude. We actually keep the same bank angle, and for a given bank angle, there is a change in pivotal altitude for a change in ground speed. As ground speed increases for a given bank angle, as ground speed increases, pivotal altitude increases, and that's what we've been seeing. We've been seeing that as we've been slowing down and making this left-hand turn into the headwind, pivotal altitude actually it decreases, and we have to pitch down. And then we come around on the back end right here. We come around the back end to this crosswind to tailwind. And ground speed is actually increasing. So our pivotal altitude is increasing, keeping the bank angle constant. So similarities between the 8s on pylons and the turns around a point, but definitely different goals. Honestly, what it comes down to is different skills. A different skill. What we're doing about the change in ground speed is different in the two maneuvers. In the turns around a point, what we are doing in response to changes in ground speed are changes in bank angle, whereas with 8s on pylons, changes to ground speed result in and the turns around a point are done at a constant altitude, right? Changing bank angle and constant altitude with changes in ground speed. 8s on pylons, changes in ground speed, the bank angle remains constant and the altitude is changing. That's a fundamental difference. All right. Great question, though. Max, thanks, man. We'll see you next time, dude. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, also, like, my yoke is, like, whack, dude. This thing is, like, freaking weird. And you know what sucks? Look at this. This thing is weird, dude. This thing sucks, man. Something's, like, broken on the inside for sure. My F-18 flying is, like, absolute dog shit with this yoke, you know? What do you guys recommend that I get? Now, here's the thing, is as an amputee, very important for me to have the power and the prop and the mix levers on the yoke. And I'll get another CH Products yoke. Like, that's fine. But I didn't know if you guys had a better... Look at this fucking shit, dude. This is absolutely insane. What the fuck? I don't know if you guys wanted to post in the chat some recommendations on a yoke that I should get that's not too expensive. But ideally, it's got the levers on the yoke, and it's not a separate lever, you know, set of levers that I gotta get. Because my USBs are pretty much all taken up. Yeah, Skipper, hightail. This fucking shit is out of control, dude. Yeah, hightail. Absolutely. Yeah, Skipper, that's a great way to remember it. Some other night, you know, what is it? Next Thursday, we've got special flight rules, special LAX special flight rules, and the VFR corridor. I mean, we could do that, but I kind of want to. I like these maneuvers nights, you know, and for my private pilot students, one thing I like to do is S-turns over a road right here. This is a nice S-turn over a road, and the emergency landing spot's right there. So we could do that. I would like another pattern, traffic pattern, and like landings night. So we'll have to see like what's up with next Thursday. I think I'm going to change that from special flight rules to something else. But yeah, I definitely need a new yoke, you guys. So let me know if you guys want to post suggestions of a yoke. Do you do pattern landing on Twitch? I may need to pull a VOD. I do actually. I think I have one already saved, video a VOD already. But I definitely do that on Twitch. I have a whole like PowerPoint on the traffic pattern and landing techniques, even takeoff techniques. So, yeah, I absolutely do that. In fact, I'm inclined to do that next week instead of the special flight rules. You know, a good traffic pattern. That's one of my favorite lectures to do and to demo on on Twitch is pattern and landings. Would you like that, Cryptic? This shit is fucked, dude. Dude. What is going on, man? The trim wheel is like tripping hard. Yeah, you definitely could. You know what we'll do next time is actually do that. I feel like a pattern would be fun. Taco, let's do it. My landings are a little wonky. I have a check ride in 4 days, so I'm trying to do what I can. Cryptic, you know what? Let's do some landings right now, but absolutely. When's your check ride's in 4 days? You know what? Let's do it. I do prefer to do landings in X-plane because the dynamics are actually real. Like they feel it's a very important one to have real dynamics. So I do, like you can see, this is fucking all over the place. Microsoft Flight Sim, and this is the yoke, not Microsoft doing this, but still, I know that we're gonna land on this runway right here, near side. It's a left traffic for pattern, and it's a 1,100 foot pattern. So, yeah, pattern we'll definitely do next Thursday. But for landing, what you're trying to do is evaluate two things. You're trying to evaluate in terms of sight picture. Like obviously, there's a lot more than two things going on in a landing, but sight picture, you're trying to evaluate two things: the shape of the runway I'll do a circuit in the pattern as well. Like I'll concentrate on landings this time, and then we'll look at sight pictures in the pattern on our second pass. But and by the way, I'm gonna land on this displaced threshold because that is not in real life. That's not the displaced threshold. I just want to let you guys know. I understand that you can't land on the displaced threshold in real life. That's not that isn't there. So I'm gonna land on that spot. And I'm also not going to start descending until I cross 30 because there's always super big traffic coming in, Boeings and stuff coming in on final on the ILS. So the two things that you want to be evaluating on final when landing is the runway shape and the point of no apparent relative motion. And the point of no apparent relative motion is something you can listen to Rod Machado talk about. Okay, power reduce. Bring that down to like 17. Power prop mix. Gas, trim, lights. Looks good. Pitching for 80, flaps 1. And I'm also going to land partial flap. So land however you're going to land. And we're going to go turn base now. I like to put 30 degrees of bank into my base to my downwind to base. Get that turn over with and be on base right there. We're a little bit high. Yeah, so runway shape, we're looking for a trapezoid. Flaps 2. We're looking for a trapezoid in the shape of the runway, and the point of no apparent relative motion is the point that as we get closer and closer to the runway, it will appear to expand away from us and toward us. You know, the departure end will expand away from us and the approach end will expand toward us. There will be a point where that does not move, and that point is where the airplane is headed. What we want to do is manipulate that point. If that point is like low in this no man's land out here on the ground, right? If it's here, we want to move that up onto the pavement, right? Right now it's right in the dirt. We're headed right for that spot right there. See that? So what I want to do is add a little bit of power and scoot that up onto the pavement. You can also notice the shape of the runway is trapezoidal, which helps you evaluate, you know, being on slope. See how the sides are pitched in like that? It's got a wide base and like a small top. So that's the first. That's now we're headed right there, right where that arrow is. See that? That's not moving. So here we are now. As the runway opens up, we're entering ground effect, power idle. And we want to level off here in ground effect. And as the airplane sinks, applying back pressure, not to stay off the ground, but to back pressure as the airplane starts to sink will reduce the sink rate. And you have a nice little sink rate that where you can ease it onto the ground. So that first pass, you got to see runway sight picture, or excuse me, runway shape, as well as the point of no apparent relative motion. Very, very important for landing. Now, if the runway looks long and it does not look trapezoidal, you're too high, and you need to adjust accordingly. You know, power reduce, power and attitude for performance, right? You got to reduce power. Maybe put your last notch of flaps in. That's why I use partial flap. What did I say? Power reduce and nose down. There's your square base. Now this is going to be about pattern and flying the actual pattern. Right now, you want to roll out on a square crosswind. There's 1,000 feet right there. Power reduce. Let the nose come down. And that's the first thing. Is on crosswind, you want a square crosswind. You do not want a rounded crosswind. The other thing that you want is on downwind, you want to make sure that you're not too close to the runway. You want to make sure that the sight picture out of the wing, that the wing sight picture is also good. What you want to make sure is, like using an airplane like with this wing strut here, you want to make sure that that runway is halfway or a little bit lower than halfway down the wing strut, like right there. See how the runway's a little bit halfway or a little bit below halfway intersecting the strut? You want, and I'm banking right now, that's why it appears higher, and there it is right there. You want to make sure that you're a suitable distance away from the runway using that wing strut. Or if you have a low wing, it'll slice through halfway through the wing. Now we're abeam the touchdown spot almost, right? Our touchdown spot is, oh shit, sorry guys. Our touchdown spot is right there. So, but we're not going to descend because we don't want to, I'm actually going to put flaps 1 in there right now. We're not going to descend until we are over the center line of runway 30. So that first one we were talking about just really lining up on final and runway shape and point of no apparent relative motion. But this one is all about like actually flying good pattern technique and setting yourself up the right way. That's really important. Also notice I've reduced power. There's our like 1700 RPM or so. We got that descending pitch attitude sight picture with that gap that's pretty wide, certainly wider than cruise. 30-degree bank angle from downwind to base. Flaps 2. I am not opposed ever to adding flaps in a turn. Some instructors are. It's actually not a big deal. All right. Base to find, or downwind to base, you want to make sure you're on target. So your targets here are 70 and 700. 75, we're a little fast. And you want to roll, you want to start your turn early. That's the other thing, is you don't want to overshoot final. And now you're behind, you know? And as you come back around and you say, oh, okay, I'm early, then yeah, shallow out your turn. And now you're actually straight up, like you're lined up nice on final, okay? Oh, my speed. Don't worry about the lights, I would say. VASI or PAPI or whatever, it's not about the lights. It's about the runway shape. Now, what to do on final is also really important now that we're actually lined up on final. You got to make sure that your feet are active and you're using assertive rudder. You want your rudder has the job, your feet have the job of keeping the airplane aligned with the center line of the runway, and your ailerons are in charge of making sure that your ground track is straight, right? So really make sure a good landing, you know, starts with good runway alignment. And if you have wind coming from the side, then yeah, put the ailerons down on the side where the wind's coming from. Like that's what's happening right now. We have wind a little bit from the left. So I'm putting a little bit of left aileron in there, and my feet are keeping ourselves aligned with the center line of the runway. 10 to 15 feet above the ground, power idle in ground effect, leveling off. Runway sidelines come up as we sink, back pressure to reduce the sink rate and grease it on, and then there you go. Now, you're not done yet, right? You're on the landing roll, back pressure to keep that nose gear off as you apply braking, you know, aerodynamic braking, as well as put those toes down, bring the airplane to a rest, and then yeah, relax the nose gear. You know, don't let the nose gear just shimmy out of control. If you're going with your examiner, don't touch the flaps or anything until you're clear of the runway. That's a weird ass looking hold short line, everybody knows. And then here you are, clear the runway. Now clean the airplane up. Flaps up, lean for taxi, lights, right? And then call ground, okay? I hope that was helpful. it was kind of rushed because that's not what we were doing tonight. You know, that was just something just for like, because I know you're doing it in 4 days, so I want to give you some notes. You can actually like rewatch this video multiple times and, you know, take good notes. Maybe even replicate this like in the sim based on what, you know, is around your airport. You might be right pattern instead of left pattern. Like do your thing, but like those are the things that you're looking for no matter where you're at, right? Square crosswind. Make sure you're power reduced, nose down at TPA. Make sure that if you're a high wing, that down the wing strut, the runway is halfway through it or whatever. It's going to look a little bit differently if it's like the other side of the pattern or whatever. If it's a low wing, the airplane's going through the wing, or the runway's going through the wing, okay? A beam, your touchdown spot, power reduce, nose down, open up the gap between the horizon and the top of the nose. Carb heat or whatever it is. If you're in a Piper, obviously you don't need carb heat. And flaps 1. Pitch for that 80 knots or whatever your initial speed is for whatever airplane you're using. And then make your way down from downwind to base, medium bank descending turn, downwind to base, flaps 2. Get that turn over with, lift that wing, check the situation out on base, get a height assessment going. If you're too high, take care of it. Don't wait till you're on final to take care of it. If you're too low, take care of it, right? Power and attitude for performance. On final, remember, runway shape, point of no apparent relative motion. If you're low, add some power, pitch up, and move that point up forward onto the pavement, right? If the runway shape is messed up, if the runway looks long, power reduce, and lower, and you're too high, right? You have too much energy. If the runway looks squashed and triangular, you're too low. Add some energy. And actually, to correct for that, you want to add some power and like level off. You don't want to be like climbing like crazy, actually. It's bad technique. When you go for your instrument rating, that is actually how you correct being slightly below the glide slope on an ILS. Is a increase in power, level the pitch attitude, a VSI of 0. Glide slope comes in, power reduce, and then go back to your 500 foot per minute pitch attitude. So that's just why we teach it that way. Rudder for aligning the fuselage with the extended center line of the runway, and then aileron to make sure that you're tracking straight, aileron into the wind, and then as you come into ground effect, 10 to 15 feet above the ground, power idle, level pitch attitude, let the airplane start to sink, wings into the wind, land with the upwind wheel first, the upwind main, and then the second main, and then nose down. Power should be already idle. Hold the nose off. Intermittent braking. Ease the nose on. Bring the plane to a rest and then clean it up, holding short line, okay? It's a lot of shit, but like it's in the video. You can like replay that and just pause it and stuff. The one thing that we didn't talk about, like on a traffic pattern day, would be like what your targets are, like airspeed and altitude wise. We mentioned 70 and 700, like on base. There are other targets that, you know, I'm sure that you're familiar with the patterns like in your area. So I need to breathe in there somewhere, I imagine, you know. Make sure your feet are off the brakes when you touch down or it will end badly. That's also very true. Make sure that your heels are on the floor when you are touching down. That's a very important point Skipper's making. You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. You guys, I had a freaking blast tonight, man. If you had a good time, if you found this to be, helpful, definitely give the channel a follow. I'd really appreciate it. And taco time, you fucking know that it's taco time, bro. I'm going to come back. I'm going to play some Halo actually, but I did want to say, that if this was helpful, and if you enjoyed the guidance, the sim instruction, I would really appreciate a sub as well. Help keep the channel going, and definitely more to come. There's a lot of exciting things that I have planned for the rest of November especially on my IFR Tuesdays. And yeah, everybody wish Cryptic good luck on their check ride. Everybody give good vibes to Cryptic. Oh my goodness, Taco, with the gift sub. Thank you so much for the sub. That is incredible. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Incredible. I'm glad that you had a great time, man. And you know, I always have a really great time interacting with you guys and hanging out with you guys. It's super super cool, and I love like. Wish I found this stream months ago. I would have helped a ton. You know what? You found it now, and by the way, I'm very flattered that you would say that. So thank you so much for saying those kind words. And you know, the cool thing about a stream like this is I'm learning all the time. You're hopefully learning. I'm getting awesome feedback, and I'm just trying to get better all the time. You know, I'm 900 hours total time. I've got like 500 hours dual given. I'm like not a million hour CFI. You know, so really really appreciate it's this is very much like a two-way road, and you guys are awesome, man. So thank you for making it super super enjoyable. Okay, guys, so I will see you probably this weekend. You know, I'm thinking some DCS on Saturday. I just don't know what time. So I hope to see you there. I'm going to be back actually in a little bit with, there are a ton of vids from previous streams, well worth watching. Skipper, you're the man. Thank you so much, dude. I will be back. I am going to make some fucking tacos. And I will be back with some Halo. Although I do miss Diablo, you guys. Diablo 2 Resurrected, you know. But Halo 2 it is. DCS on Saturday. I invite you to come back on Tuesday, the 16th, for part 3 of IFR safety theme month. It's a 4-part module, a 4-part series that I put together special on IFR safety. And part 1 was on Tuesday the 2nd about human factors and spatial disorientation. It's a really good video. Skipper, good night. Thank you so much for sticking around. On the 9th was part 2. Very good discussion on SRM and CRM. Cryptic, you should watch that video. Take notes on that video, and discussing CRM and SRM things to your examiner would be very, very good. You want to be able to discuss those decision-making methods and good decision-making stuff. Very good. Next Tuesday on the 16th, we have part 3, looking at AOPA real pilot stories and what lessons can we learn from folks that did manage to walk away from what could have been very disastrous things. They got very lucky and learned very, very valuable lessons. What lessons can we take away from these things, like being trapped on top of overcast and minimum fuel, or not being instrument current or proficient, getting trapped in bad weather, and stuff like that. That'll be and also looking at the null report and looking at Twitch only saves the VODs for a certain amount of time. Yeah, that's true. And otherwise, Cryptic, I would go to my YouTube. My YouTube is also linked on my About Me page, and those videos are they're good there. They're good there. So, part 4 will be on the 23rd, and that will be IFR accidents and fatalities, fatal accidents from part 135, part 121, and part 91. We go through some key bullet points. Directly from the NTSB. What were their findings, causal findings, what were the recommendations, and it's going to be really, really good. It's all going to tie together, and going all the way back to the first lecture, the part 1 of human factors and spatial disorientation in particular being a major killer in the IFR environment. So, and as a CFII, an instrument rated instructor, like, IFR is my favorite thing to do. It's my biggest challenge, I would say, as a one arm pilot. Flying single pilot IMC with one arm is I don't know if you could get any more real deal than that, and that's my ultimate challenge. And I have the utmost respect for the IFR flying So I'm really excited about this 4-part deal that I have put together for you guys. So if I don't see you this weekend, I will see you next Tuesday for part 3 of IFR safety month. Okay. Thanks you guys so much. I will see you soon. If you'd like to play some Halo with me, and talk soon. See ya.